Salute, salute. The streets are buzzing. Hope you're well. This is the chat show. Welcome. Salute to the chat, your show. We talk about Knicks. We shout you out. We keep it buzzing, just healthy Knicks talk. And my God, the rumors are swirling. The New York Knicks are obviously at the crossroads. You know, we're here to talk about it tonight and talk about all the things that are coming up. Because as you see, this topic, the ticker, the Knicks set to make moves. News rumblings today from Bleacher Report, Brian Windhorst, the Knicks open to trading bets. Zach Lowe on the podcast talking about, fielding calls for Emmanuel Quickly. The Julius Randle situation, continues to grow, and the New York Knicks have decisions to make, like we've been talking about for quite some time now, right? It's coming to a head, exactly like we predicted. It's coming to a head, and I salute Drew. Salute, hope you're well. He says, "Alleluia. Veterans seem to be out of here now. We just need Tibbs to play the youth, since in all honesty, this season is a wash as well." Like we've been saying, I've got to have one eye on the future now for sure. The sooner we realize, this team is more on the RJ Barrett timeline. It's no knock on anybody else, but it's just reality. And Lex the Destroyer, salute. New York Knicks set to make moves. A lot to unpack with this. It was just sort of the first day where a lot of reports, multiple reports have come out, and it was bound to happen because, of course, the New York Knicks laid an egg last night again in the 305. In Miami, we're just not competitive whatsoever, right? Tibbs went back to the well with Kemba Walker. I don't know how many times we need to see that movie, right? We've seen it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times now. We know how the story ends with Kemba Walker plays with Evan Fournier, right? You don't have to have watched basketball for very long. And I salute Eric, appreciate you. I'm going to keep dropping the song, don't you worry. How are you today? Give us your thoughts on these Knicks. We shout you out. And Drew says, we gave a playoff run a chance. It didn't work out. Who cares if the vets are traded? The future will still be bright as well. Hey, that sounds like a very, very smart, rational take to me, Drew. And look, fans are obviously passionate as anybody. They have hopes for this season, right? The New York Knicks had hopes. I myself had a lot of hopes in this season. We finished in the 4th seed last year. We had a nice taste in our mouth, and we wanted that to continue. But it's okay to understand where you're at and decide to pivot, right? Businesses need to pivot all the time. Plans don't always go according to the way you set them out. But the New York Knicks have flexibility, and that's the biggest thing going for them right now. Flexibility to continue to build for the future. Other teams have taken over the New York Knicks in the blink of an eye. The Cleveland Cavaliers, right? Washington Wizards did a nice trade and got some extra depth. Who else is on the come up? Orlando beat us so many times this season, right? It's a bitter pill to swallow sometimes, to accept where you're at. Obviously it's a very, very unique situation. Like Julius Randle was an MIP, All-NBA, All-Star last season. This does not happen once, could barely happen maybe once in a lifetime, what we've seen, right? We had every right to have some hopes that the New York Knicks were on the come up this season and could really make noise. But, at the end of the day, we've seen this story before. Pieces just not working out. Kemba Walker, there's a reason a couple of teams decided to part ways with him. And the New York Knicks are looking like they'll be the 3rd team in 1 year to part ways with Kemba Walker. His career is at a different position, than what it's ever been. And Drew says, it sucks because apparently a reporter did say we were at a 1st-round exit away from Donovan Mitchell. Did say we were for. I think I know what you mean, Drew. I think the reporter said that the Jazz were a 1st-round exit away from Donovan Mitchell. So let's keep an eye on that. Like you see the thumbnail. Rumors are going to continue to swirl, right? The whole league, as well as the Zion thing, the Donovan Mitchell thing is a league kept is a worst kept secret that that Donovan Mitchell would have interest in the New York Knicks, right? I could see that happening because his father is he's from New York. His father works for the New York Mets as well, and yeah, Eric's great. You won the signed copy of Blood in the Garden. Hey, salute to you. Beautiful. Lovely to see. Read the book. Let us know how it is. Let us know, and that's what's up. Mansa Deshawn, salute. New York Knicks set to deal. Now, what are we going to talk about tonight? This morning, talk to me about the deals that you want to see happen, right? A Randle, yep, Randle's going to be central. The Julius Randle thing, it may not happen, this season. I'm okay with that. It's tough. He's not performing right now. To move on for that asset is going to be, tough to swallow with the value Julius is at right this time. Salute G, and the Randall's value right now is very, very low. So I can't really see a deal happening this season, but man, can I see a deal happening in this off season for sure? You see it, Donovan Mitchell, Julius Randle in the thumbnail, right? The situation going on in Utah, like the reports out there today say, the Jazz could be a first round exit away or a playoff exit away from Donovan Mitchell really seriously looking at his future, right? And of course, the other part of the story was that people within Donovan's circle of the belief that he is way too big of a star to be in Salt Lake City. And, we could certainly come to that conclusion as well, right? They've had a nice run. It's been a couple years, 3 years that the Jazz have had a solid run, and maybe one more year of flaming out, and Donovan and the Jazz decide to just see what else they can do to retool. But of course, yeah, that's a little bit of ways. The New York Knicks to put together a deal for Donovan Mitchell would be a hell of a deal to put together. It's not something we have to worry about right now, but it's something that bears watching. Now, as for the right now, we know the trade deadline is coming up very, very soon. We're 1.5 weeks away, just under 2 weeks away. And of course, the Brian Windhorst report today that the New York Knicks are, open to, actively shop some vets. I'll pull it up on the screen here. New York opened a deal in Kemba Fournier and Alec Burks, to no one's surprise that watches our show. We've been talking about it a lot in the last week. And of course, in my personal opinion, it's exactly what I've been saying, right? Evan Fournier and Alec Burks, that would clear the runway for Grimes and would clear the runway for Cam Reddish and RJ Barrett to get all the minutes that their heart desires. And that's smart business. We've been talking about that for quite some time, right? That's smart business. And Drew says, lots of therapy, listening to Michael K and other podcasts out there. But considering I was at the Heat game 2 nights ago, it was painful to watch. I appreciate you letting us know you're at the arena, Drew, and horrible game to witness. I'm glad some of the young players got some burn at the end, but it was too late. And the streets will be buzzing now with the youth playing, especially Obi as well. Still remains to be seen. I think Obi's still going to be central to some trade talks. But maybe the organization is coming to realization that Julius, may not be part of the future now, so that maybe they are seriously pivoting from, including Obi in any trades. And of course, it's not always the New York Knicks making phone calls too. Reports from Zach Lowe, the New York Knicks are receiving phone calls, plenty of phone calls for one Emmanuel Quickley as well. That does not surprise me. The way I can see it is I can see teams thinking, man, what are the New York Knicks doing? They're holding back this player that, should be really starting on this team right now. For all his flaws, right? We keep messing around with Kemba Walker and dudes that aren't part of the future, right? Teams are probably calling the New York Knicks hoping they could get Quickly out of here, as part of a deal, right? And Tay, salute, called it last show. Absolutely. Best chat in the business. You guys keep things buzzing. G, all the way from Puerto Rico. Hope you're well. And these New York Knicks, right? There's going to be some trades. There's going to be some wheeling, some dealing. And I'm excited to see. Trade season's always one of the more exciting parts of the NBA season for me. We could get a new roster and new few players to root for. And Drew says Randle is also being shipped. Yeah, if the right price comes to as well. Yep. Reports here, SNY Ian Begley, salute everyone out there doing overtimes on this season, right? All the podcasts, all the media, everyone salute to you, keeping us informed. And, this Knicks news, it's 24-hour news cycle. And of course, yeah, the New York Knicks, it was reports that, from teams in touch with the Knicks recently over the last week have formed the conclusion that the New York Knicks would be open to dealing Julius if the price is right. Of course, yeah, to nobody's surprise, Julius Randle is in a hell of a funk. He's battling the media, he's battling teammates, he's battling the fans. This thing's coming to all heads, right? I've been the one reporting that this organization's been coming to a crossroads for the last 3 weeks, right? For the last 3 weeks, I've been saying this, right? The Obi situation, the Tibbs situation. There's just so many elements of this organization and roster that are pulling in different directions, right? You don't need to be a genius to see, right? You got a 64-year-old coach. Arguably, the best player on the team is a 21-year-old. You've got a first-time president. You've got the second best player on the team, probably Derrick Rose, who's 33 years old, unable to play. You've got other vets that don't fit, right? You've just got so many parts that are just jammed in there that don't fit right now, right? And hey, one thing that can only happen is that it blows up, right? And we're getting closer and closer to this thing blowing up. And of course, in the hot city of Miami, it's getting very, very close to blowing up. The other night, G says here, hopefully at least IQ and Grimes can start now in the first unit too. Yep, that could be a glimmer of the future as well after this post-trade deadline. And Eric, yeah, I watched the game on League Pass earlier today. Struggled town, wasn't it? Facts, like Drew says, IQ, Grimes, RJ, Toppin, and Mitch would be my starting five forward, unless if like a De'Aaron Fox comes as well. Yeah, IQ, Grimes, Toppin, and Mitch. Wouldn't be mad at that as well. Like I said, it might take longer for some fans, but I'm coming to grips the fact that this season, whether we make the play in or we don't, or even the playoffs, I just want to do it the right way. I don't want to be doing it forcing Evan Fournier minutes, forcing Burks 38 minutes, forcing Kemba out there, right? And just taking L's for the heck of it, right? If we're going to take L's, it better be for the future of the organization's growth, right? We've all taken L's before in our life, right? But it's got to be for a cause, right? If you're just taking L's willy-nilly, for Kemba Walker to get gratification, Julius Randle's gratification, that's where fans get too frustrated. And I salute Hewlett, wheel and deal in New York Knicks now. It's finally getting out there that the New York Knicks line of thinking is to make some moves, clear the runway for these young studs to take flight. The Star J Barretts, Cam Reddishes, Grimeses, Obi possibly quickly, everybody. Lex says, I'm hoping we don't trade any youth, only vets as well. Yep, facts. It could come to that point where they're really coming to that line of thinking where they technically become sellers. And of course, they might buy a nice young player if that becomes available. But I think the New York Knicks line of thinking is maybe shifting towards being selling for the future as well. Not selling everybody. I don't think they're going to have no fire sale in one, mid-season, and just throw Tibbs under the bus like that. I think, they're probably going to pivot direction slowly and show everybody that they want to clear up the runway. Salute P Nice up in here. Salute. What's the latest with Westchester as well? Got my eye on them, those young bulls out there. Although, I know Jericho Sims and Deuce McBride got minutes last night as well. Nice connection on the alley-oops as well. I want to see more of that. And I'm hoping Lucas Samanic can get healthy soon so he can take flight. And Drew says, I don't know, IQ is a point guard, but starting him now would make the most sense. He did have 7 assists in 22 minutes. Look, you never know. The thing is, that's why we can afford, the one good thing about not throwing a season, but shifting gears to playing the young players, is that you give them an opportunity for them to show you who they are. We don't quite know what Quickly's going to be with 38 minutes a night. We don't know what Obi's going to be with 38 minutes a night, but I'm damn excited to see what it might be. Deuce McBride, 30 minutes a night, right? We've seen what he can do with extra minutes. You know what I mean? And of course, if there's some trades out there where we can pick up some young studs out there, off the scrap heap, let's try and do that. If we could help Portland, get some vets, sneak into the playoffs and get Anthony Simons or some other young studs, DeJounte Murray, let's see if we can also pry another young, nice stud, right? So we're formulating a nice stud starting five based on a same timeline, on RJ's timeline. It's quickly becoming clear to me that the Julius Randle, 27 years old, RJ Barrett timelines, they just don't line up, right? Even if we continue down with the vet route and we lose for a couple more seasons, Julius is going to be 29 years old. He's going to be frustrated that we can't win, and he's going to want request out. So it might just be the smartest thing right now to just cut bait now, trade Julius to a contender, whether you could send him over to Philly, take Tobias Harris and some assets out off their hands, and we just rock for a few years, with the younger squad. And G says, yeah, could you imagine if Tibbs puts in the same starting five again? No, I don't really see that happening beyond the trade deadline. I could see it happening for another week, just to showcase these dudes. So yeah, but be cautious. We may see Alec Burks, Fournier, Kemba for a few more games. That's just because the nature of the business is we need to showcase these guys for another week or two. But reports are leaking out now, and I believe them. Credible sources in Brian Windhorst that the New York Knicks are fielding calls for Burks, Fournier, Kemba. Right, so it's going to make sense that we run them into the ground for a week and see what we can get. Right, no doubt. I think Alec Burks will get us a late first round selection. Think of if a Cleveland, if you're a Washington, a Chicago, Milwaukee, you're going to try to get your hands on an Alec Burks, in this arms race, try and get you over the line in the playoffs. And Tay says, the only way I could see Obi and Quick in a trade is for a star or a young star point guard, which will throw in picks. Other than that, we should trade for picks and expirings and a point guard. Yep. Nice line of thinking there, Tay, as well. Building for the future as well. And consolidating our assets, right? A lot of people say this, but this phrase you've always heard, addition by subtraction, right? This organization might not get better this season, but could get astronomically better quicker by putting these young players in position to grow and show you who they are, right? We know what the Kemba Walker is. We know Alec Burks. We know Fournier. We know Randle. Their ceiling is what we're seeing right now. That those players are not going to get any better, right? They could play 1,000 minutes a day. They're not going to get any different. Their game's not going to change, whatever. But these young players, we don't, like I said earlier, we don't know who they are yet. You give them 38 minutes a night, and then you might be pleasantly surprised in 1 year's time. And Drew says, yeah, no one is getting traded till the deadline. Yep, I think that's the case too. It's going to be a busy week and a half. Strap yourself in, buckle up. The streets are buzzing, and look out for a new report every single day, right? And we just so happen to play games in between, right? So if Julius keeps stinking it up, these other vets keep stinking it up, Kemba Walker sits down, we know the buzz is just going to continue to grow, right? So we're all strong. We're all here for it. Strap yourself in and enjoy the show. And P. Nice says, yeah, Deuce needs to play G League rest of the year. He's not ready. Sims still doesn't look for an open shot as well. Yep. Yeah, and I'm cool with it, P. Nice, because, Westchester, nice foundations, nice structures down there. We've got some other nice young players, these other young kings balling out for Westchester as well. They signed Alan Crabb to another vet. So Westchester's trying to do things. They got Samanich as well. I think the G League season finishes a lot earlier than the NBA season too. So there might not even be many more games left in the G League. So let's capitalize and throw Deuce and that out there, right? Let them swim. And yeah, Drew says, I mean, starting the youth isn't tanking if they're a plus 20 every night, right? Exactly. Addition by subtraction. You know, the club could get astronomically better by playing these young guys as well, and we might even see them really grow really quick. Salute Big Shiesty, and we ain't getting Jante Murray nor Simmons. They're the future for both organizations. Fox and Jalen Brunson will be the most realistic out of all the trades. Yep. Yeah, I can agree in terms of availability. Fox, Brunson, their names are all over the place right now. Their names all over the place. Where there's smoke, there's fire, right? You know, their organization's leaking that out big time. And Quiet Money, salute. Always on the money. Give us your thoughts. You know, I know you want Kemba out of here as well. So we're about to maybe get a little mid-season gift. And Drew says, yeah, I think Tibbs is stubborn while he's not senile, but he's not senile. And he's not the Islanders coach. I think we are not moving any of our young core players as well. Yeah, we may just be pivoting now to that situation where we're trying to hold on to the youth and just rock for a little bit. And Eric wants a Jayhawk from this draft as well. Which one? And Drew, I believe in Leon Rose, but if he doesn't come immediately, he'll find a way out of this as well. Let's give everybody time. And I salute Jason. The front office has gone out their way to cater to Tibbs's demands, and it's not helping the team as well. Yeah, spot on, Jason, especially the Julius Randle thing. Let's talk about that for a second. Julius Randle held out of the post-game presser again. New York Knicks eating fines like breakfast. It's not a good look. Not a good look to us, to the organization, to Julius, to nobody, right? How long can this continue, right? Like I said, we're at crossroads. You know, and I've got a feeling we're not quite hearing all sides of the story, right? Something doesn't add up with Julius Randle this season. He has got to be frustrated himself. He's got to potentially want out of this situation too. You know, we didn't get his guy back, Fournier. We didn't get Reggie. We didn't get Peyton back. Brought in Fournier. Reports he's not happy with Fournier and the moves this team's made. It makes sense with his body language, you know, looking disinterested, not invested in this thing. I think Julius Randle is on the verge of checking out, you know, if he has not already. And just, yeah, the press conference thing is unbelievable, you know, to just keep holding him out and getting fines. And G says, yeah, if we wait till the deadline, that's it for us. You know, I won't even get to the play-in. Quiet says, I've come to the conclusion that Julius is dogging it on purpose because he's creating his toxic atmosphere to the team and trade him without any blowback or regret as well. Hey, nice take there as well. Like I've been saying, yeah, Quiet. So, you know, all things just don't add up, right? It's not just Julius not playing well. His attitude's different. You know, he doesn't look happy here. He doesn't look interested. You know, and obviously the reports are he's not happy with the acquisitions the team made. Now, what a stark 360 it's been. Like, I know he may not be happy with all the moves, but how can you just, you know, go from extreme one end to the other, right? You know, in just 1 year. He's certainly got to be pissed off with something. And Eric, yeah, a point guard, if we don't have one by then, that's got to be on their radar. It's got to be top of the list as well. De'Aaron Fox, Jalen Brunson, let's stay tuned. You know, the Zach Lowe thing did, you know, surprise me today. The fact that it leaked already, that the Knicks are fielding a lot of calls for quickly. So far, they've been resistant. Let's see how long they can resist for, because it seems like quite a few teams keep calling the Knicks, right? The report said specifically the Knicks have called for quickly and they keep calling. So they know the New York Knicks do mismanage some assets. Maybe they're trying to strike, you know, trying to get a steal from the Knicks. And yeah, Eric wants David McCormick, and he's from the Bronx as well. Okay. Salute Jarvis, salute. Ready for some wheeling and dealing. This New York Knicks open for business right now. We have a week and a half to go for this trade deadline. We've already got the big fish of the business, Windhorse, Zach Lowe out there, our very own Ian Begley's. Everybody reports, you know, throwing out reports there. the New York Knicks are shifting their thinking. And salute Bonson. I appreciate it. I think Obi, if given the chance, will be one of those pieces that we are blessed to have as well. Yeah, and I guess for all the arguments for Obi against Obi and the fans, the love that they show. For me, where I sit is I just want to see a player that with that potential play extended minutes for an extended stretch, just so you can see what they are capable of, right? When a player's playing in the back of their mind freely, loosely, with confidence, like we saw Obi in the playoffs last season, right? Forget about this year even alone. Obi in the playoffs last season looked like a dude that was happy to be there. He was comfortable. Just all that tension went out the window. And like Eric says, Fournier and Julius, they don't sync at all. It's just not a fit right now. We're seeing them argue, push each other away. Reports are that Julius wanted Reggie Bullock. Fournier replaced Reggie Bullock. I mean, it makes a lot of sense what we're seeing now, right? And you can't hide tension, right? Tension's been building. We've been seeing it on the court. Now we're starting to see a glimmer of things that are happening off the court, right? And it's only coming now because it's, we're something like 50 games into the season, and it's becoming clear that they can't hold this. They're not in a situation of hiding things. It's just things are leaking out. And Duras, salute, throwing all the kids in the water. Let's see who can swim, and the starters drown as well. And the main thing is you've got to be willing to take losses, obviously. But you know what? We've been taking losses anyway. So what I keep saying is if you take a loss, make it count, right? Make it be for something, right? The Kembas, the Fourniers, all of that, the Julius, we know who they are in the league, right? They've shown us who they are. They're not going to suddenly turn their game around again. In fact, Julius took his game to another level last season, and then he's taken it back down. So we know Julius's peak now, right? Last season was his peak. I don't see him getting any better than that. And that's even if he can replicate that from last season. And salute Jarvis. It is amazing that Randle is doing the same things that Elfrid Payton was doing, distancing himself from the team as well. You know what, Jarvis, great point. And the fact is that they are close, they're together from New Orleans. And, I think a lot of Julius's disgruntledness stems from the personnel, the locker room, right? The locker room's not the same. That chemistry is not the same. That's been reported. And like Khalid, Brunson isn't unrealistic after Hardaway broke his foot. We can get Fox or Simmons, though, as well. Yep. Facts with that, Hardaway, broken foot now. Let's see what the Dallas Mavericks do. Let's see how they pivot because, they're in contention, the Dallas Mavericks. They're not going to sit tight this deep into the season with Luka out there, KP. And, that was a tough injury for them with Hardaway. And maybe we don't get Brunson, if they want to hold on to Brunson. But maybe we can give them Alec Burks for a pick. Maybe we could give them Evan Fournier or something like that. I'm all about trying to get out of these contracts. And Jason, the money and accolades have gone so far over Randle's head that he can't handle the success. He's been checked out since the playoffs as well. Yeah, it's been clear, right? And even in the playoffs, he just wasn't himself, I felt. And some players are built for a certain level of success. Julius earned his contract. I've been saying that, it was a cheap contract. He balled out. Maybe the 4 years was a little bit now looking like a tough one. But, after last season ended, Julius, earned that contract. And I think, part of that could have been the motivation to ball out for another contract. And just seeing the moves this team's made. But the thing is the body language, the actions, it's all been inexcusable, right? Not even being able to see the media. Like, when he looks back on his career, he's going to say, hey, I made it to New York City. I got us to the 4th seed. Got us into the playoffs after a long time. For me to come out the next season and do this, whinge and whine, things aren't going my way. Things aren't always going to go a player's way. He could go get traded to Utah. He could get traded to OKC for more losing, right? He just needed to appreciate the situation he's in, right, and just go that route. And Yeah, Drew says, Simmons not built for Philly, then how is he built for New York? I think, reports are Simmons would really like to come to New York, but yeah, you definitely make a good point. Could Simmons thrive here or not? I think the team's got to be built around Simmons. We have the right pieces. We keep Derrick Rose for a couple of years, keep quickly Obi, RJ, Cam, get up and down, that kind of style. And I think, it'd make life a bit easier for Simmons. I think the slow plotting big with Joel Embiid, made things a bit difficult for Simmons to want to get up and down. Salute 007 Angelo. Welcome. We're talking moves. New York Knicks, the buzz is growing daily, right? It's getting to a audible level, and the New York Knicks are at the crossroads, right? We can't hide from that no more, right? The elephant is in the room, and we all know what it is. These vets, we're just not on the right timeline. The organization, the front office made decisions. They gave some money out, and it just hasn't worked, right? Fortunately, we were in a position where we can pivot from that. We're flexible, right? Let's see what the front office does, right? They could really win me over if they don't hesitate to pivot, trade Julius, trade these other guys, and set things up, set the table up for RJ's timeline. And like Eric says here, Fournier was a straight mistake as well. Salute, David, salute. Give us your moves. Bricks Nation, salute. All the free agent signings were a mistake. Yep, exactly. There weren't always all bad contracts in terms of the money. In my eyes, I think the Alec Burks contracts, very tradable. The Evan Fournier and the Noel ones were bad. Derrick Rose, it's looking iffy right now. Derrick Rose needs to stay healthy, but Derrick Rose's talent, I can understand why they needed to bring him back. And Drew, quiet sister Drew, it's not about Simmons, it's the fans. We are the ones that are toxic, or well, some of us as well. Yeah, and Eric, yeah, all those signings were a mistake. Yeah, maybe besides Rose, and even Taj has been getting exposed as well. We're prioritizing an old fella at the moment, and that's not where we were at right now. But we know he's here because of Tibbs. And Drew says, yeah, I see your point, but Simmons threw a hissy fit after sucking in the playoffs and hilariously choking. Plus, he's a waste of God-given genetics. Plus, New York is louder than Philly as well. Yeah, I don't see it as likely trade, the Simmons one, but I could be wrong. But I just see that what Philly is asking for is a crazy, crazy amount, right? Drew says, yeah, if we are toxic, this is New York. We want winners. Yeah, facts with that. We've been waiting long enough, right? I give every New York Knicks fan a pass, simply because we're the best fans in the world, whether we're crazy or we're not crazy, because we've waited so damn long, right? Sometimes losing makes people crazy, right? Players go crazy when they lose so much. And us fans, we've done a hell of a lot more losing with the Knicks than any one single player has. We've been through the eras of losing. And like Khalid says here, Ben Simmons never lacked effort. That's all you need in New York. Nobody asking for Ben to come in here and shoot like Clay as well. Yeah, I think Ben's going to come out motivated, whichever club. He's going to come out really, really motivated. And he did get thrown under the bus, whether you're a Simmons fan or not. He has every right to want out of Philly. It's tough when you flame out of the playoffs and the things Simmons did. Handle all that behind closed doors, right? Having your coach come out and kill his trade value, kill this situation, not good business from Philly right now. And that's the reason they're stuck in this situation, right? Not being able to make a trade yet. They blew it on the Harden option, and now they're just stuck, and maybe they will never get another deal at like that, pennies on the dollar. And Bonson got a question. Do I think Julius was disgruntled this season because he was not the main focal point in the offense year, taking the lion's share of the shots? Yep, I can see that, Bonson, as well. The Kemba Walker addition, some other things. Julius, every player has an ego. Think about, you win all those accolades. You don't just become all-star. You win MIP, you win all-NBA, all in the one season. You get the New York Knicks to the 4th seed. I think Julius's ego blew up, right? You sign a big deal, the organization wine and dine you, sit you down, hand you a piece of paper with 4 extra years, you're like, hey, life's good. Life's good for me right now. They're building around me. Then they bring in, Fournier, Kemba Walker, and that losing starts happening. And I just don't think Julius is built for it. He's not built for it. We saw what happened when we were losing in 2019, right? How was Julius's body language in 2019? It was exactly what we're seeing now. He flipped it around for 1 year, and now he's flipped back to what he really is. I think, if somebody shows you who they are, you listen. And 1 month, 1 year is not going to change. And Drew says, yeah, true, but he hasn't made an effort to expand his game. No one has ever said for him to shoot like Clay, but more so like Giannis, to keep defenses honest as well. Yep. So yeah, the Simmons thing's going to go back and forth. I think Philly's going to hold on to him. They're willing to go chicken and carry this thing out for years, according to Daryl Morey. How foolish is that? And Khalid, Ben could just give us 16, 8, and 8. That's what he does in his sleep, and that's all we need. Set up his offense and play lockdown D, which he does as well. Yes, but some of the fans are indeed toxic, but every fan base has those just to glorify the Knicks toxic fans for some reason. David, appreciate that. You were at the game last night. Disgusting, wasn't it? And let us know some of the things that you saw in the arena. We've all seen the pictures of Julius, separated again from the teammates, from the timeout situation, disengaged, checked out. You know what? At the end of the day, he's got his money, right? It's definitely possible Julius is checked out because he's got the guaranteed years now, right? He doesn't care. He might not care whether he's in Philly, in LA, in Utah, wherever. He got his money. And if he's sick of New York now, he's sick of the frustration, the losing, the fans coming at his wife or his family. You know what? That's on Julius. To each to their own. We're all about the winning on the court. What have you done for us lately? And a lot of fans were ready to ship Julius out at the end of 2019. He won us over again, and he's undone all that all over again. To Drew, what are you going to do if the coach and the best player on the team throws you under the bus and embarrass you in front of the world? I'm going to act up as well. Salute Troy. Tibbs def got to go after this season. We need a system for the young guys to thrive, and a plan indeed. What's good, man child? What's good? Let's get it. Eric Noel would be better if he stayed healthy and bulked up as well. Yep. Noel going to be Noel. I think he's going to give some value to a team. At the same time, Noel only got 1 more year after this. So I would be okay if we held on to Noel's $10 million. That'd be $10 million expiring for next season as well. If we trade Fournier or we trade Burks and that, we do need to keep some vets around, right? But Noel can take a seat. Mitch can continue to learn from him and Jericho, as well. And peace, Allah, peace. My first move is Kemba, Fournier, and Noel as well. Yep, I'm on that train. Kemba, I think, will just happen naturally. It'll happen organically. And Fournier, the $19 million is the biggest, salary out there to try to get off of. And of course the minutes too. Look for Tibbs to continue to play Noel for another week, just to showcase. So nobody fly out the deep end if the starters continue to play. The leak's already out there. The New York Knicks are trying to move on from these players, but they do got to showcase them. And Hewlett, we the fans are a bit toxic. We just keep it funky, aka keeping it real. So we the fans are not toxic. We just keep it funky, aka keeping it real as well. Exactly, and we are passionate, like Eric says. We want winning on the court. We just don't really care how it happens, right? And also we're willing to accept that our timeline might change, right? We've all been through the Amari, the Melo years where we went all in with Tyson, J.R. Smith, all of that, Jason Kidd. We went all in, right? We understand when you're in a situation to go all in. Right now, the New York Knicks are nowhere close to getting where we need to be yet. We're a few years away. So, we're just understanding that we're trying to get back on the right timeline and clear some of the decks, clear the runway for these young bulls to fly. And Drew, he had 5 years to improve a jumper on Simmons, and that's a long damn time. If RJ can do it in 1, why can't Simmons as well? Yep. I think Simmons is so into the rest of his game that I think he feels like he doesn't need to put in as much work as what he's putting in. That's my only conclusion, with the Simmons situation. And Jason, Tibbs probably had a hand in pushing for all those contracts. Kemba and Fournier were probably signed to satisfy Tibbs' obsession for vets, and nothing has worked out as well. Yep. And he needs to take accountability on that as well. And be civilized. Salute and Knicks family. To be honest, I want to hear what Leon Rose think about all this madness. If anybody hiding, it's him. Randle is a product of his own environment, management, and coaching equals Randle's failure as well. Real facts there. Be civilized. And like I say, Leon Rose is the like the CEO of this thing, right? He calls the shots. And he has the accountability, and he doesn't like to front the media. Let's see what moves he's got up his sleeve to rectify this situation. That's how I'm going to judge Leon. And Khalid, RJ and Ben are totally different players as well. RJ 6'6" and Simmons 6. I think Simmons is more on the 6'10". 6'10", possibly 6'11" shoes. It's all about fit though too. I think for all the struggles and the folly we're seeing from Randle right now, it's absolutely magnified the fact that his fit just doesn't fit with this team. We're already at an all-time slow pace. Julius Randle doesn't help us increase the pace, right? We need ball movement. Julius Randle does not help with ball movement at all. So even for all the poor play from Randle, the poor body language, the poor demeanor, his game, just the fit for this team is not good right now at all. And it's certainly magnified with Derrick Rose out as well, and without a point guard that can push the tempo. Ben Simmons may not be the player that we need, but he is a better fit right now. I think he's a better fit. And David preaching, it's okay because better days are coming as well. The New York Knicks are open to make some moves. Let's see. It's been a quiet couple of years at the trade deadline, right? Could we finally get that trade deadline that us fans have been thinking and wanting for a little while now, right? We've been relatively quiet for 2 seasons now, right? What would happen if Julius Randle got traded this trade deadline, right? The internet would break, I think. And, we'd be on here for days talking about it, and it's a possibility. Make no lie. It's a strong possibility. Giannis is 6'11". There's plenty of big men who can shoot. Khalid, Ben is Mitch Robinson height, but nobody asking Mitch to shoot. And David says Cam is the real deal. We might just have the next Jordan. Yeah, well, either way, he needs minutes. And we're about to clear the runway, hopefully. And I'm excited to see a more RJ and Cam wing, getting up and down together with Quentin Grimes as D. Quentin Grimes has really, really impressed me this season. And Jarvis, salute to Allah, a follow-up test. And he's officially COVID-free. Salute to you, and I appreciate that, that you're feeling healthy. And Khalid, what 7-footer, shooting good other than KD? That's my point. Eric, we went from 4th in D, and now we're 14th as well. And that's on the front office, going back to what Leon's done. We had an identity, and for so long, the New York Knicks have wanted an identity, and we've moved away from that identity as well. So he is an absolute culprit for this situation, right? Whoever wanted Fournier and Kemba. Khalid, 9 times out of 10, a dude that's 6'11" can't shoot as well. We do see a lot of big men at the line not being able to shoot. And it's be civilized, straight ego tripping is what management created in Randle. Gave him the keys way too early, not complaining about the contract, but giving him the number 1 option mantle was a big mistake as well. And that it was. More so the fact that he can't handle it, right? Even if his play isn't suited to being a number 1, right? He's acting a straight fool, right? I mean, if you want to accept the top dog mantle, accept the criticism that comes with that as well. You know what I mean? Wear that bruise with a badge of honor, right? take the bullets, right? If you want to be the stud, take the bullets. If you're not winning, right? But Julius is doing everything but deflecting the blame, acting a fool, complaining to refs, telling the fans where to go, telling the organization where to shove it, eating James Dolan's money. I mean, I'm not really seeing too many people run amok like this in New York and get out of it scot-free. And Khalid, y'all name the top 2 players on earth, KD and Giannis, and now every big man can't shoot. Hell no, those the best players ever. And quiet to Jason, you can't forget that the team has to sign enough players to meet the salary cap floor. We had a lot of cap space, so the players we signed got overpaid, but it was mostly tradable as well. Yet keeping it real, quiet money too. Plus, we also had assets on the roster that we didn't want to lose as well. So if we let Noel and Burks and that walk, that would have been, we may have had money to sign other players, but we also would have lost some potential assets as well. So if they end up flipping Alec Burks for a first-round selection, then that's a win-win. That's a solid, signing an asset and then converting it into another asset as well, like they did with Cam Reddish as well. And where this front office would really win me over is if they can turn Evan Fournier. I know it's wishful thinking, but if they could turn Evan Fournier into some kind of deal, maybe a 3-way deal or something, and get something out of that, as well as get out of the salary, that would be nice. Yeah, and Drew, Jokic, Kat, Vucevic, Jaren Jackson, and there are plenty, I promise you that as well. And salute, the chat is absolutely buzzing. We know the New York Knicks fans are the best when the rumors start swirling, and the chat is the best in the business, buzzing right now. Keep it flowing. Khalid, you're naming the top big man in the NBA. Drew, Chris Boucher, Siakam. Those are all the top 10 players you're naming, Khalid. Yeah, Drew, but the shot is what makes them great. Khalid, yeah, there are very few big men that can shoot. Quiet. Ben Simmons was an all-NBA player. That he is. He plays 2-way, plays D. He can get to the cup. Drew, yeah, what about almost the whole Golden State roster? They can straight light it up. And Khalid, Ben Simmons was a 3-time All-Star and All-NBA player. Manchild, Leon has to do whatever it will take to pry Ben from Philly as well. Yet, Manchild, you've been on that train for a minute now as well. Being consistent with wanting Ben up in here and what Ben Simmons can give this team. Khalid, put Ben on this team and he would unlock everybody. All the young guys automatically get better. Ben Simmons makes your team better offensively and defensively from the jump as well. So we're seeing a lot of love and support for Ben Simmons right now. The $40 million, the wants and needs from Philly, remain in question right now. But we are a week and a half away, so strap yourself in, buckle up, because this thing's about to get loud. The New York Knicks are open for business right now, and expect this to happen really fast. We saw how quick the KP trade happened. The fact that there's a leak that the Knicks are open to trading Julius Randle and he's already disgruntled, maybe he sees the writing on the wall. Maybe this thing just goes downhill, quicker than we can blink. And Tibbs didn't want any parts of Kemba or Fournier as well. That he didn't want, absolutely. The man's wanted Reggie Bullock back as well, and he's trying to make lemonade out of lemons. And MH, salute Julius and 2 first-rounders, 2 second-round pick for Harrison and Halliburton as well. That's a pretty realistic trade. I could see out of all the franchises, Sacramento are the ones that are really wheeling and dealing. No one's out of bounds for Sacramento. There's buzz that somebody in that front office would entertain Julius as well. We know they have a glut at the guard spot. Tyrese Halliburton could be on the block. Harrison Barnes could be a nice stopgap. And Eric, Julius always gets double. David, our future lies in Cam Reddish. He is the one like Neo from the Matrix as well. We just need to see some more of it. We need to see it unlocked. and salute. Hope everyone's well. Be civilized to his boy Jarvis. And Robert, salute Robert. Can't get a king without giving up a first round pick as well. Keeping it real, Robert. I think this front office does know how to make business. They've crapped the bed with free agent signings, but with trades, drafting, they've got a lot of expertise they can lean on. This trade deadline, oh man, it's shaping up to be a significant one, and this could shape the direction and the success of this organization for the future to come. And like Manchol says to Quiet, there is a report that Tibbs was pushing to get Fournier. Okay, I've not seen that one. Haven't seen that report out there, so far. Jason, Tibbs seemed all gung-ho at the Kemba Fournier press conference. He was all smiles too, which is rare for him as well. I think he was probably just trying to keep his boss happy. Tibbs, especially when it's early on, you don't want to look like you're a coach that's not flexible. But of course, when it's not going well, he's going to be the first one to say, hey, Leon, this is on you. You got me this mess, this trash, clean it up, right? That's the beautiful thing about a coach. Although, the coach is usually the first one to get fired, but the coach does have the excuse at times that, these players you got me just aren't it right now. I won for you last season with the 4th seed, right? You gave away some of my guys. And Drew, yeah. But a respectable debate, though. I needed to blow off some more steam as well. Yeah, that's why we're here. We got the chat absolutely buzzing. Let's keep it flowing. The front office is playing a dangerous game. They set Tibbs and Randle up for failure this year while making sure he had the tradable assets we needed. Can't wait to hear what Leon thinks too. I don't even know if we'll ever hear Leon speak, to be honest with you. There might be some huge moves and wheeling and dealing made, but then I think that he's probably going to put out a statement. He's probably only going to put out a statement or something, unless Julius Randle gets traded. If Julius Randle gets traded, I'm going to say he's going to have to come up and face the press, in person. Yeah, and B says that the front office playing a dangerous game, and Robert Cam is extremely unproven. He's a raw prospect, got all the talent, upside. We just need to see him get minutes. I like his confidence. He's not shy. He puts it out there. He thinks he's going to be a star. It's all good and well for him to say that. Cam Reddish now, he wanted out of Atlanta. He was disgruntled. Comes to New York now. If he gets his shine, he gets the opportunity. It's time to put up or shut up. And Cam Reddish needs to show us what he can do. I'm just excited to see some minutes from him and from RJ. And Lex the Destroyer. Here are my keeps: Deuce, Grimes, IQ, Obi, RJ, Mitch, Sims, Cam, and Samanich. Everybody else, this is your captain speaking. Out of here. And that's all the vets, pretty much. So Lex, yep. Lex doesn't want to keep D Rose, doesn't want to keep Noel, nobody. Let's just keep rocking with some young fellas. And Quiet. I believe it was Perry. He's been smuggling all of his former players that he drafted in Orlando, using his ties around the league. One underrated point is that Scott Perry obviously worked for the Sacramento Kings, right? Scott Perry was a part of the organization that drafted De'Aaron Fox, right? So that doesn't get said enough, right? So look for the New York Knicks and for Sacramento Kings to have a lot of conversations, right? We even did a deal with the Sacramento Kings to get Scott Perry, I think. I think we gave them a 2nd round pick or cash to get Scott Perry up in here as well. So look for those ties, those relationships to maybe, come to fruition with another deal. Be civilized. Absolutely, fam. You already know. Management can only fix those mistakes and keep pushing. And B says, Scott Perry, get him out of here. This is your captain speaking. Smash the like button. Lex the Destroyer, appreciate you. Quiet Money. Perry should be brought up for treason charges for trying to get his former cast-off paid. Jason, the Sixers have declined a lot of solid deals for Simmons. We don't have anything they would want as well. That's what I'm thinking as well, Jason. We know it could be posturing too. We get closer and closer to the trade deadline. One thing is I want to salute Joel Embiid too, the way he's handled this situation. Like if you're Philly's other star, you've got to be putting maximum pressure on the organization to make some moves, right? You're sweating, blood and tears every night, in the prime of your window, and you're letting this organization just let this thing carry on. I don't know how patient Joel Embiid can be. And Quiet says, yeah, that was Tibbs trying to do his job with a smile on his face. Absolutely. 007, you have to hand it to the Lakers, Pelicans. They got rid of Randle as soon as they could. We should have spoken to them before ever signing him as well. It's amazing, man. It's just unbelievable how quickly this thing's turned around. Like I said, I know this is New York City. We've seen crazier things. But, from Julius to go what he was in 2019 to winning all those 3 accolades last season, back down to becoming a pumpkin again. It's just unbelievable, just when I always think I've seen it all as a New York Knicks fan, they go and show me something new every single year, right? Could this just be a prelude to something even huge that's going to happen? And Jarvis, I could possibly see Randle also being traded for Covington and Nance Jr. The money basically matches. Randle goes where he won't be the first option and to a smaller market as well. Yeah, I won't, like I said, I won't be surprised if Randle does get traded this deadline. Things are spiraling out of control, but I'm leaning more on towards the side of it'll happen in the summer. I think it'll lean towards it'll happen in the summer. It's just going to be a huge move, a lot of moving parts. But at the end of the day, the New York Knicks could be wowed. A team could come and swoop in at the 11th hour. A team on contention row could just realize, hey, with Julius Randle, that is a significant upgrade for us this season, right? That could make some huge moves, right? Let's say a team out of nowhere, Golden State Warriors or some crazy, thing that we're not thinking of comes in and says, hey, we had Julius Randle as our 3rd or 4th option. So, Julius Randle, $19 million. That contract is extremely tradable. Despite his play, it's extremely tradable. Quiet says he would have drove Randle to the airport himself for a chance to have LeBron and AD too. Amen, Drew. And Bonson, I think it was reported, not sure if this is valid, but there is a story maybe by Ian that Perry didn't even want Evan. Yep. I've heard a backup story from Mark Berman as well that Scott Perry was more on the DeRozan. Scott Perry was interested in DeMar DeRozan as well. But of course, it's all subjective. We'll never ever know. These dudes love to run and hide this time of year, right? I want a president that faces the media, steps up. If he makes mistakes, don't apologize, but just correct them. Rectify this thing right here. They gave tradable contracts out, like Quiet Money said. We had to hit the cap floor. We had to spend some money. We spent money on some dudes that might be able to be traded at least, so we could just keep kicking the can down the road and keep flipping these assets. They might look like trash now. If we just keep kicking it down the road, maybe we could turn it into like one of the Cam Reddish trades, down the line as well. Be civilized. It might look bad for New York, but there's other teams that regress too, especially the Hawks. Mind you, they was in the Eastern Conference Finals last season and is now scratching the surface. Real facts there, B. Obviously this is New York City. This is the Mecca. We have the biggest media, the biggest fan base, the best market in the world, the most valuable franchise. Yeah, everything is magnified here. We win one playoff series, it's magnified 10 times some other team winning a playoff series. You stink it up in here and it's magnified 10 times compared to anywhere else. The Hawks, they're stinking it up more than us. But I think, like Brooklyn, they're not getting the same criticism because no one really cares. No one cares about Brooklyn and Kyrie and KD and Harden and that. And they're always on the second page. The New York Knicks are on the back page, all the time. Like Drew, yeah. To be, sadly, the Hawks have been winning ton recently. They have, and they've come level with the New York Knicks, on the standings. That's true, yeah, but nobody cares about anything outside of strip clubs in Atlanta. Facts, quite just like I was saying. And Bonson, yeah, I wonder what Dolan must be thinking about all this drama and how much rope this administration has. He's watching. We know Dolan, right? When it affects his pockets, then he definitely springs into action like the Undertaker. And I think it's still early in terms of giving these guys an opportunity, the front office and the like. But I think Dolan will step in. I think in another year or two, if things are still dysfunctional. Winning was done last season. We're not that many games below 500, but in terms of the dysfunction, it's like you say, it's going to be interesting to see what Dolan's thinking right now. The Leon Rose, the CAA connection. I think Dolan has done business with those guys for longer than some of us have been alive, and that's their relationship is going to be tested right now, right? Going to be tested, the CAA ties. And could the New York Knicks have their eye on Zion, CAA's biggest client as well? So throw your thoughts and comments out there as well. Tell me where you sit with what this team is looking for. What do you think this team's long-term plan is, their vision? If they're pivoting from Julius Randle, it's RJ Barrett, these other guys maybe that'll pop, Cam Reddish, but is it Donovan Mitchell? Is it Fox? Is it Zion? Are they looking further than what we think? And David says, I can't believe there are fans that are still on the fence about Randle. Drew, to be fair, I think DeRozan would have helped this team too much anyways. I don't think DeRozan would have helped this team too much anyways as well. Yeah, and I guess it went into their decision, Drew, that they didn't want to spend that little bit more money. They just thought, okay, we know DeRozan's a better player than Fournier. Maybe they looked at the extra year and they looked at the extra $4 million a year, and they just thought, you know what, let's just not go that far. Let's not commit that much for a marginal improvement. But what we're seeing is obviously DeRozan is really, really impacting Chicago right now, and they're winning. Let's see how he looks in the playoffs. And Drew, yeah, but he was surprised. What surprised me this year is I didn't think the Bulls would be second in the East with the free agency that they had. And salute Luke, appreciate you, Julius, for Kuminga and fillers to make the money work as well. Jonathan, Kuminga and fillers to make the money work as well. Haven't heard that trade option out there as well, but thanks for bringing that option to our attention. This, all things will be on the table, I think, for Julius and this situation, right? Like I said, some teams may come out of left field and take advantage of this situation, right? The front office is probably in a meeting right now. These early hours of the morning, phones running off the hook right now. I feel like there's buzz out there. The New York Knicks, we spoke on it at the start of the show. Emmanuel Quickly, a lot of teams are calling the Knicks about him each and every minute. The Knicks have been resistant so far, but teams keep calling. Julius Randle. Do we admit a position of weakness and do we start offering Julius, or do we just wait for teams to see the writing on the wall and call us about Julius? What do you think is more likely to happen? Do you think the Knicks are now just going to realize that they have to cut their losses and shop Julius? Or do you think we'll just we'll field phone calls for Julius? And Jarvis says, I hear you, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Knicks do something like that. Not sure I would, but I can see it happening. Covington at least has an expiring, freeing up cap as well. And DeRozan is actually doing what Randle did last year as well. But the difference is he has a legitimate 2-3 option, Levine and Vooch, not to mention Lonzo as well. Yeah, exactly right. Extra depth can make pieces look better as well. That's literally facts. Eric, OJ wouldn't still play shooting guard if we signed DeRozan. Would still play shooting guard if we signed DeRozan. And Drew, he ain't turning the ball over 17 times a game, though, and constantly bitching to the refs as well. You guys are on fire up in here. Appreciate you as well. They're open for business. How does it make you feel? Is it a sigh of relief? Of course, we are yet to see how deep this these rumors go and how deep the New York Knicks, shake up this roster. But where there's smoke, there's fire, right? These are very, very credible reporters, from Brian Windhorst to Zach Lowe to Ian Begley, right? So we're still a week and a half away. Strap yourself in. There's games coming thick and fast. Milwaukee tonight. It's going to be interesting to see, Julius's body language, everyone else playing in fear right now. I think, a lot of players are going to be playing a little bit tight, a little bit tense. Even from the Quickleys to the Obies to Grimes, even. Cam Reddish is probably going to be the player that's breathing the biggest sigh of relief, or sleeping well at night, knowing that he's not going to be traded again. But at the same time, everybody else, from the Nerlens Noel, I don't think D Rose will be traded, but everybody else on this roster, is on the block. He's on the block, and let's see what this front office can do. Let's see, De'Aaron Fox, like I said, the Sacramento ties, they seem like one of the other clubs that is among the NBA. The Sacramento Kings are basically, like a 7-Eleven. They never close. They're going to be, all the way till the trade deadline, in talks. They've got a glut at the guard spot. They've got Davion Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox not helping them win on the supermax salary. They've also got a young Halliburton, which could then help them, get to a position where they need. Brand says IQ gets stuff going. He takes a lot of shots, but makes them when the offense is stiff and the game on the line. Untouchable, in my opinion, as well. So far, Brand, the organization has been taking a lot of calls on Quickly, but there have been so far reports saying that the New York Knicks are unwilling to budge on Quickly right now. It certainly could be posturing, and it certainly could be holding off to a bigger deal as well. I'm okay for keeping Quickly. At the same time, I'm okay including him in a bigger deal if needed. If we need to get off of Fournier's salary, we need to get off of Julius. I'm okay with packaging IQ, depending on what is coming back. And Drew, quite there probably is, but I'm just going off what I know so far. I wished I was like the Feds and knew what this team was doing at all times. We don't really need to know that. We will just sit back, relax, enjoy the show, let the guys do their job. Those Woj bombs, those notifications on the bombs are going to come. It's coming. There's there's too much buzz. There's too much smoke. There's got to be fire, and this team is underperforming right now. Like we say, James Dolan, the fans, Leon, all their, there's a lot at stake. Basically, there is a lot at stake. I do believe the New York Knicks still want to make the play-in. I just feel like they can see a clear path for us to still make the play-in, but prioritizing the future a little bit more. Now, when I say prioritizing the future, I mean, getting off of Fournier's money, getting an asset for Burks, getting an asset for Noel, something like that. Just clearing the runway for this logjam. And Eric, guys like Noel, Fournier, Kemba, and Randle should all do yoga. Nice one, Drew. They need to live with the monks for like a month and be civilized. If New York Knicks decide to keep Randle, the roster has to be revamped ASAP. We need a center that can spread the floor, rebound, a floor general, high IQ players with thick skin. Pause. I agree with everything you just said there as well. A high IQ, especially, that's a standout for me, right? There's going to be winning, there's going to be losing in New York, right? We need high IQ players, thick skin, players that can handle it here, right? We know RJ Barrett is a keeper in terms of his mantle, not just his skill set, not just the way what he can do on the court, but RJ Barrett's mantle, is built for New York, and he's a stayer right now. He's a leader. He's fronting the media. He's doing all of that. And Eric, yoga was, has cured injuries of mine in the past and calmed me a lot as well. Yep, that it does. And it makes you wonder, Nerlens Noel, Are they doing everything they can to have their body right? You know, in and out every single week, right? It seems with these small injuries, and quite Drew. I feel you, bro. I think he has the smoke with someone or multiple people in the franchise, and he's not happy about multiple things. Yep, it's a little bit much. Yeah, and he's having a sulk. And Brent, yet Randle clogs the offense and is non-existent on D. Pair that with the mental stuff, it's just too much for a franchise trying to win. Um, it certainly is right now. Do you guys think Julius going back to a second or third option role could cure all of this? Do you think is there anybody here that thinks that it's salvageable? If Randle is a second, third option, do you think this could all blow over and there's a pathway to success? Or do you think Julius is just going to be Julius, whether he's second or third role as well? Because I feel like it's a bit of everything. He's not handling the pressure of this situation well at all, but he's not handling the situation of being a number one every night because he's just not good enough to be that role. And it's blowing up in our face. They gave him obviously too much leeway, too much trust. Tom Thibodeau, again, he's a culprit in a way. He needs to yank Randle more. When Randle's not performing, yank him. I don't care if he's scared to lose him or whatever. If he loses Randle from yanking him, then so be it. Randle's not built for this, right? You need to be held accountable, especially when nights when you don't have it going. And Drew, yeah, be civilized. That's facts. But in all honesty, I just don't know why they think Obi still isn't the best long term for this team. He unlocks transition game. That's really our biggest struggle as well. I just think we've seen so many small glimpses that it's hard for anybody to really see for themselves regularly and what this team could be, in terms of other fit potential, getting up and down. And it's not cohesive to this coaching style. Tom Thibodeau coaches for a half-court offense, I think, for the playoffs. He's been in the playoffs, the slow grind so many times that I think Tom Thibodeau is just institutionalized with that kind of style. Brent, let's get guys who want to move the rock and lock down on D. That's why we love Grimes as well. More of those players. Sign me up in a day. Grimes can do it all in terms of lockdown and shoot. Maybe not, create for himself just yet, but I feel like he has potential. I feel like he has potential in that area. Drew, Grimes was low key locking up Hero. It was only when they switched off of Grimes that Hero started getting buckets as well. And how many times do we see Grimes get a stop, a jump ball situation, get in the passing lane, catch and shoot with a money three. He's just a gamer. Is Quentin Grimes. We hit it on that pick, and Drew. I think Hero only has like 4 points against Grimes. Jarvis, facts, and B. To Drew, I wouldn't trade Obi, to be honest. I'll trade Randle first before Obi if it came down to either, but rather trade other players first before Obi. I just want to see our young players grow that we drafted as well. And it is frustrating whiffing on so many picks, right? RJ Barrett, the highest pick we've made since Patrick Ewing. I'm just glad that that's starting to work out. No lie, so I'm a bit more relieved as well, because this organization cannot afford to whiff on another pick as high as pick number 3. It brings me joy to see RJ start to ball out more, but it's also a lot of relief. We just can't afford to keep whiffing on picks that high. But of course, Obi Toppin, this franchise is at a pivotal point with the Randle and Obi situation, purely because they're both an asset, but we've got to find a way to manage both of them, which may mean parting with one of them as well. So asset management is going to come down to it at the end of the day. Taking a gamble on Obi, investing in him more, seeing what we can get for Julius, or continue to kick the can with Julius for another year or so. Try to see what we can get for Obi. Either or, this organization is going to be tied. Those are the two. Leon Rose, that's pivotal to his legacy in this role. Locking up Julius for the contract and drafting Obi Toppin as well. So he has that decision to make now. He made that choice, right? Does he go after Halliburton and realize that we should have drafted a guard. Let's see. It's going to be very, very interesting. And Quite says, I just don't think RJ is ready to be the number one yet. I'm trying to force him to be the guy could end bad as well. I don't think it'll really end bad. I just think more losing may bring more draft picks. I think RJ's solid. I think he can handle the losing with Cam and some other young players around him, just players that play hard every single night. There's no way with all the vets we sign, there's no way we should be losing by 20 to 25 points, right? That is one thing, hand on my heart, I said at the start of this season, I'm like, hey, this team may not go very far. It may not go all the way, but it should be competitive. It should be competitive with Kemba Walker, Fournier, and most of the core from last season. But man, was I wrong. We've been losing by more than 20 so many times. And that's been the most discouraging thing for me, right? For all the vets we sign, and we may not even be close to contention, but we should not be so far off Miami's and, these other clubs, the Torontos, and to be losing by that much, Milwaukee, right? We should be pushing them at least, a team full of vets. And Manchild, we're going to get massacred by the Bucks as well. It bears watching, right? And we're getting closer and closer now to the deadline. And talk's going to be buzzing. Like I said, players could be starting to just be disgruntled and, and throw it away, check out. And I think, these next couple of games are really going to tell us, a lot about this roster and in terms of players that are here for the long haul. And Drew says here, Belitza as well is another shooting big. And Allah, how we expect Randle to be better when the front office gave him worse free agents than Mook Morris and Bobby Portis 2019 all over again. A lot of accountability on the shoulders of the front office as well, right? Leon Rose. And if he comes out and corrects some of these mistakes, then, salute to them. But they've got a lot of mess to clean up, right? They've got an entire, trash yard to clean out. And it's going to take a lot of smart maneuvering. The Cam Reddish was a nice precursor, a great move for the future. And let's see, where else they can pivot, right? Continue to convert these assets and be civilized. To be honest, we need Randle a little longer to set RJ up to be number one, because at the end of the day, Randle draws a lot of attention. Yep, that he does. And look, I'm all for that in terms of how it works on the court with Julius, his game and things. But where I'm just leaning towards cutting bait is the fact that Julius, all the circus that's coming with it, the acting up, the arguing, the bad habits, rubbing off on other players now with the press conferences, skipping press conferences. I mean, that just can't continue. Like, they're just pissing the beat writers off even more, right? By skipping these pressers, right? And let's say Julius stinks it up for a couple of more games, and then he gets to a point where he has to finally front the media. It's going to be like a bunch of sharks circling a carcass. You know what I mean? These beat writers are getting more and more, antsy about, Julius and that situation, right? If he can't face the media right now, this is a ticking time bomb that's just going to blow up soon. And we may just have to wait to the summer if the deal's not readily there. But, this situation is going to get worse, I think, before it gets better. I think it's going to get worse. And Drew says, to be honest, though, why not try to develop him into one of his shown flashes of being one, and he's only 21. If he continues to get better, he'll be averaging 26, 27 in his prime. And Joseph, salute. Miami showed us that you don't need a point guard to have a potent modern offense. No Lowry and no Oladipo. We have the talent to score, but Tibbs is running a 30-year-old offense. In the theory, trading a point guard is a fallacy. Thoughts? Miami did show us exactly. You don't necessarily need a point guard. We spoke about it with Simon as well from shotquality.com. Check that out from the other day if you haven't yet. But we talked about cutting. Right, the New York Knicks are in about the second or worst, or to the worst team in the NBA in cuts. And that's how Golden State get their offense moving so much. Open catch and shoot threes and cutting. And the New York Knicks just don't do any cutting, right? Julius Randle holds the ball, RJ one-on-one, and everybody else just stands there, right? Everybody else just stands there. We don't have guys that set great screens, right? For all that I love Mitch and that, right? 1 in every 2 screens Mitch sets is an illegal screen. Even Taj Gibson can get sloppy, right? How many possessions do we give up because our big men can't set a proper screen as well? You know, when we're struggling on offense, we can't afford to throw away possessions a game, right? We can't afford the 20 turnovers a game. And that needs to get cleaned up, as well as the free throws. Drew, plus statistically, usually the 3rd overall pick in recent history tends to be the best pick in the draft in the class. So there's a chance RJ can become better than everybody else. He's got the makeup. He's got the mantle for New York. You know, he said, "Hey, yo, I'm a Knick." He wanted to be here as well. I'm glad for that. Just a player that wants to be here and has high upside. You know, has their future ahead of them. So many players the New York Knicks sign have their best days past them, whereas, you know, a lot of the players on our roster right now have better days ahead of them, which is you know, going to keep this fan base excited. We just need to continue to build around them, you know, put other pieces in place that are on the right timeline, you know, make smart deals, continue to, you know, build the draft compensation up so that we can make that big swing when somebody becomes available as well. And we might be closer than we think, right? When that big trade comes available, we may have all the picks and young pieces to wheel and deal. And Drew, what makes me mad about Miami is that they always find these unknown hoopers that they can contribute right away if someone gets hurt as well. That is absolutely, like Drew, frustrating. Gabe Vincent, Max Strauss, Yurtsven was watching, you know, and the like. You know, we've seen a lot of gamers this year, a lot of no names. You know, and we see it every year. Like the Fred Van Vliets came out of nowhere. You know, Miami's drafting, scouting. You know, salute to them. I do think we're improving. You know, the New York Knicks are making roads in that regard, identifying untapped potential. Lucas Samanic, you know, was a I know he hasn't shown much yet, but, you know, 19th overall pick from the Spurs. We didn't hesitate. We signed him immediately. You know, the Rokuses, you know, draft and stash. We were willing to take him before Deuce. You know, realize his potential. Yeah, and I think that, you know, New York Knicks are improving in that area in scouting. You know, untapped guys. But yeah, we're nowhere near Miami. Right, you know, to your point. And yeah, quite CT. I think we all forget about how important D Rose is to our success, and a healthy Noel is also missing. This just wasn't a good year for us to have somewhat of a roster turnover. Yep, and injuries as well. The COVID situation. Yeah, definitely. And look, you know, it could end up all being for the better of the future. With that said, you know, to your point about D Rose, let's pretend D Rose never got injured. Let's pretend D Rose has been playing for the last 15 games or so. How many more games would we have won? We probably would have won 2, 3, 4, or 5 more games. We would be at 500 or over 500. If we were at 500 or over 500, would we be having these same, you know, would there be this much drama, this much buzz, you know, fans disgruntled, maybe over, yeah, Julius, but maybe not. Maybe we'd be going in a completely different direction if D Rose was healthy. But you know, either way, you know, we do need to make decisions on the Toppin and the Randle situation, right? And 2 assets that just can't continue to coexist. The New York Knicks front office needs to make a decision, you know, put a line in the sand in terms of that, because as soon, you know, Obi Toppin's value is going to go from, you know, very low to non-existent. You know, his trade value is low to very low, and it could become almost non-existent, like Kevin Knox's was. If, let's say, we kept Toppin for 2 more years and Randle together and played Toppin 9 minutes per game, you know what I mean? That, yeah, the New York Knicks do need to figure out how to manage those assets. And Jarvis, yeah, you said it. He was shown flashes of improvement, but let him be a consistent number 2 first. Plus, he hasn't demanded the double teams like Randle yet, and it is harder to be a number 1 and that's in regards to RJ Barrett. Players that decline media get fined, not the team. The team wasn't making him available. That's why they got fined. Yep, it's a team's decision and a bad look as well. Yep, absolutely it is. It's more along the line of not who's the person for the reason behind not fronting the media. It's more around what's their aim, what's their long-term aim, holding him out, right? We weren't even in an arena that was getting booed in Miami, yet they still held him out. So let's say we have 35 more games to go. How long can they continue to hold Randle out? Are they going to hold him out every single night? It is a bad look. It's just unbelievable, right? Carmelo Anthony fronted the media every single night, rain, hail, or shine, and this is minimal drama compared to what the New York Knicks have faced, right? The Perrys, the press conferences after 10 games, the firings, all of that. This is minimal drama compared to what we've seen, And be civilized. The Heat got that Pat Riley effect. Yep, absolutely. Should have never let him walk. 007 Angelo, amazing, isn't it? Siakam, Harden, Irving, Simmons, and now Randle. The 2000s, the century of the crybaby, disgruntled star player. Oh my God, NBA is in trouble. And got to ask you guys the question: does this current era of social media just present a completely different hurdle for players to become a star in this league, or do you think it's just an excuse? Do you just think that the ballers get on with it and the crybabies find it an issue as well, right? Because every day you open your social media after a good game or a bad game, you're going to see some trash in your DMs, right? In your wife's DMs, other trash people coming at you, other ridiculous stuff. You just got to tune it out, and be civilized. Yet Riley equals 3 chips missing in NYC. Drew, be civilized. Coincidentally, that was the last time we ever made a deep playoff run. Sigh. Jarvis to Drew. How would RJ respond with teams game planning for him night in and night out as well? Definitely, he'd need help, but he'd certainly be learning on the fly. And Canal, we have Perrin, so hopefully we begin to get these unknown, and maybe Rokas is our first as well. Yeah, salute for that, Canal. Definitely, we've invested in terms of resources for scouting, media, front office, UK scouts now. So Europe scouts, we have full-time guys overseas now. I believe sooner or later it's going to come back to help us. Definitely sooner or later. And Drew, plus Miami and Cleveland knew that later in the game that they tried to adjust to RJ and it didn't work. RJ just overall has a better IQ and he's more skilled than Julius, as much as certain people don't want to admit that. And it goes back to that, you never know what something is going to be until you give it a look, until you give that a chance. Like I said, this could be a crazy addition by subtraction situation where we get, let's say, one Simmons or another Fox. We let RJ, Cam Reddish, Obi and all that run up and down with D Rose and the like. And this team could just look completely different. Give Grimes more minutes. And partly to blame is, to the defense. We've always just talking about offense, but Julius Randle and some of these players on this team have been horrible defensively this season, right? Nights where there's been no effort, or nights there is effort and they're just not good enough. Getting torched by just a better player. Torched by even mediocre players. No disrespect, but OG Ananobis. The list goes on and on. Najis. I mean, we've been smoked by so many no names this season, right? How much can one handle of that? You know what I mean? We need to get back to playing solid D like last season. Keeping teams under 90 points per game, right? I don't care if every player's got to commit 5 fouls. Teams should not be coming up in here and scoring like they do, right? If our offense ain't got it going, we need to hang our hat on the defensive end. And like Quiet says, Riley did want more power. He wanted ownership in the organization, and that wasn't happening as well. There was an untold backstory as to why Riley just had to leave. And that is the case. Riley has a huge ego, and at the end of the day, he brought that ego to Miami with Mickey Harrison, and it paid off. But I'm not mad at the situation. There's only so much we could do. And 0078 Simmons getting traded for Harden. That's also the worst kept secret as well. Rumblings coming out there that James Harden as well, not happy with Brooklyn. Let's see. It'd bring me a lot of joy to see the Brooklyn situation blow up, as well. And Drew says, no one averages 23 a game and isn't the number one option. And that's talking about a star Jay Barrett as well. I also think, what the other guys are saying too is, without Julius, there's not another guy to pull the defense away from RJ as well. But obviously, if Randle gets moved on, we would hope that we bring somebody else in as well to give RJ the keys. And Manshaw says KP was the best pick since Ewing. RJ comes second as well. I think it's I think I put RJ. He's getting up there to taking over KP. Obviously, KP starting to ball out some more, but I think RJ's I rock with him because he's more durable. And Drew, Tibbs tries to use Randle, but he can't because he's Julius Randle. Allah says we could have won 5 more games if we hit free throws. If we had Rose, that could have been 3 more. Facts. And D Rose, I enjoy watching D Rose, but it's going to be interesting to see if this trade deadline we pivot, right? We pivot to another direction. D Rose still going to be D Rose though off the bench, and he might be the one to get Obi even more involved if Obi has more minutes. Tay says Donovan Mitchell wants New York if there's a first round exit as well. Hey, the buzz is there now. It's swirling. Donovan Mitchell, right? And there was talk last season, right? It was very, very small buzz, but Donovan Mitchell, right? There's only so many exits in Utah, right? You're a star. You're in the West. You've got a team close on the cusp, but you just can't get there. And you're in a small market like Utah. It's going to come to a point where they're going to have to make a big decision, right? On Donovan Mitchell, a small market team. They don't have the money that James Dolan can spend. And B says, New York Knicks always let the wrong peeps go. Bonson, I'm no offensive guru, but I really can't tell what the Knicks are running. Neither can I. When I watch them, when we are so predictable on offense, a team like Miami could take our lunch money with no problem as well, right? Exactly. And also, a bit of everything, players reflect their coach. So it's on Tibbs and it's also on the players, in my opinion, right? The players, and there's been scouts say this, that the thinking of the New York Knicks players are 3 steps behind some of these other players like Golden State Warriors, the movement, the cutting, knowing where to be, right? The New York Knicks are just playing like they've almost, only been playing together for about 20 days sometimes, right? We just don't know the tendencies still or where players are going to be. Players holding the ball way too long. And that tends to happen when you don't have a bona fide hierarchy. You don't have bona fide, number 1, number 2 options, out there. Jarvis, I agree that Randle hasn't handled that too well, but he is consistently, his game plan for RJ can be free for one-on-one matchups. Needs to be aggressive and consistent. Drew, I like to call Tibbs' offensive playbook hot potato because all there is a dribble handoff. A good one, Drew. That is the case too, right? It's frustrating. 007, you guys want to laugh. Randle said he learned everything from Kobe. I wonder if he's going to say Kobe taught him how to turn from a prince into a frog. I've been thinking that too myself, 007, in terms of his mentor, Kobe, and the late, great Kobe, respect on his name, right? Randle can say what he says, but, if he's not practicing that, you know what I mean? He's not doing that legacy just right now. And Drew, in all due respect, you said that RJ can be assistant number 2 option. He showed us last year. He's significantly improved again this year, and he's showing that month that you can. You can give him the keys to this offense. Yeah, and I think, this season's a good learning experience. It's only RJ's third season. He's going to continue to win some, lose some. The playoffs last season were a great learning experience for RJ, I think, right? I don't think he's going to be disgruntled if we lose a bit more, because players tend to get very disgruntled if they're losing every year. But RJ Barrett had a taste of the playoffs in his second year. That's extremely valuable. Most players drafted in the top 3 go on a team that's a hot mess, not a team that has the playoffs, 4th seed in his second year. So I think RJ Barrett's happy with where he's at, and the opportunity to continue to shine and grow, take on more responsibility, with this team. Quiet says Dolan don't want bad media coverage, and he's loyal to his employees, so he is not about to let them. Sorry, he hasn't handled it too well. RJ has stepped up again. Randle is still being doubled. And Drew says it, and Randle is game plan because teams know that they'll frustrate him and turn the ball over. It's got nothing to do with being a number one. And Joseph addressed Evans post game, gave us an inner slip. My hot take is that Julius is actually at odds with Tibbs's offense. Players know the game. No one is being utilized correctly. Tom has lost the locker room. Would not be surprised with that either, Joseph, as well. Again, the offense, it's got limitations too, this roster, in terms of play calling. You got a center that don't shoot. Like, no center on this roster can really shoot. You got, lack of floor general. I think they just put their eggs in the wrong baskets, and it's coming home to roost. Being the point guard, Kemba Walker, like, for whatever they say, they thought they would get something out of that position. Derrick Rose injured. And that's on the front office too. We went into the playoffs, hampered at the point guard spot. Elfrid Payton, that situation needed to be rectified, and it was not. They gave a 31-year-old player with knee troubles, the keys, right, the starting nod, and of course a 33-year-old D Rose. Like, they need to take ownership on that, right? You can't go into another season when we've been devoid of a point guard for that long, right? There's no floor general, right? You're running your offense through a player that doesn't make quick decisions. He hasn't got a great handle, and he hasn't got a great temperament, right? He can't keep his cool on the court, right? That should not be a player you run offense through as well. And like Drew says to Jarvis, in all due respect, you said RJ can be a consistent number 2 option. He showed that last year. He's significantly improved again this year, and he's shown that this month you can. I went up a bit too far for that. Sorry about that. Yep. So, yep. And Randle is being game planned because teams know they will frustrate him and turn the ball over. It's got nothing to do with being the number 1 option at all. And they mess with his head, and he gets frustrated, thus bringing the overall morale of the team down, since he's supposedly the leader. And 007, the honeymoon with Tibbs is over. Every fan now sees his flaws. I guarantee the fire Tibbs chants are coming real soon to a garden near you, LOL, as well. Yep, no lies with that. Absolutely, they will. And it's more towards just where the organization is headed, I think, pivoting towards, right? Tibbs was brought in for the win now. Last year we thought we were closer, every right to feel like that. 4th seed, we felt like to make some upgrades and we could take that next step. But now it's become quite clear we're a ways off that, right? The East improved, all of those things, right? And the Tibbs, the reasoning for having Tibbs here is looking a lot more redundant, right? In terms of winning now, right? Unless we can just pull off some crazy move to swap Julius and some other parts for some other crazy moves, some other all-stars, things like that. Having Tibbs here is just like, it's redundant, in terms of trying to win right now, because our timeline has shifted, I think. From last season to this season, our timeline to win has shifted gears now. Quiet says, he was trying to run the franchise, and with all the money that the Knicks generate, it wasn't happening as well. And 007, I wish we had kept Mike Miller at least he was a developmental coach as well. Yeah, I think Mike Miller, Kenny Atkinson, those guys would suit the roster we have right now. No lie, absolutely. The Tibbs thing was brought in. We rocked with it for a year or two. We made it far last season in terms of the regular season. It looked like we were onto something, but we now just need to take one step back to take two steps forward again. I think, that's my best analogy. Sometimes it's people like we say we're regressing. I don't think we're really regressing as an organization. We're just at a point now where we have to maybe take one step back to take two steps forward and just realize how far off contending we are, and make subsequent moves based on this new timeline. And Allah says, that's the biggest point, the defense. That's how the front office signing Kemba and Fournier is a big problem as well. Jarvis, I have to hope for RJ to be a big part of our team. I just don't want added pressure on him to be the number one option. If he develops into that, I definitely would be happy for him too as well. Yep. And I can see that too. But I don't think we're going to hang RJ out to dry either. I think we are going to continue to add some pieces around him real quick. If we do move on from Julius, we'll probably bring in other young players like Fox, maybe Brunson, Halliburton, Cam Reddish. I think there's going to be, a more loosely free-flowing offense. Whereas right now, Julius touches the ball on every single possession, and it's draining the life out of the offense, I think. And 007, a quick fix to players like Harden, Simmons, and Randle quitting on their teams is to get rid of guaranteed contracts. Players would stop acting that way in a hurry if their money was in jeopardy. Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely a good point with that one. Like I said, take away the vets around them as well, so they stop acting a fool. And Drew says, that could be John. That could bear very possibly, considering Tibbs lost the locker room in Mini, be very possible. The thing is, teams can build a system around rim protecting centers. Look at what the Jazz did with Gobert and the roster around him. Okay. Yep. And he thinks Joe Ingles is their power forward. Yeah, he can stretch the floor. And how can you believe what Fournier says when he says we're good when everybody touches the ball, but then he never passes? He auditioning for other teams, stinking it up as well. Yeah, and salute Julian. I feel sorry for anyone who's still a Randle stan, getting his voice out there. Eric, yoga will help elevate Randle's mental toughness. Yeah, I think Randle ironically needs Phil Jackson, mindfulness. All that mindfulness that Phil preached, right, to get guys in the game, in the moment. That's exactly what Julius Randle needs right now. And Drew, I got mad in like 2019 and listened to one of his full albums. I feel ashamed to put that extra dollars in that piece of garbage pocket. Julian, Tibbs made the mistake of tying his career to Julius. The front office too. I think Tibbs, brought the band back, D Rose, Taj. Again, last season, these dinosaur thinking, mindset, they thought we were closer than what we were. Then what happened in the blink of an eye? The Cleveland Cavaliers leveled up. Other teams leveling up in the blink of an eye, right? Next season, we could see the Detroit Pistons seriously level up. The Toronto Raptors bounce back from last season, right? Every season's a mind of its own, right? This front office got lured into fool's gold based on the pandemic season, right? And they read way too much into it, maybe thinking that Julius Randle could be the number one and build around with Fournier and Kemba. And Bonson, I think the social media makes it much more difficult for players who are sensitive to criticism and have rabbit ears. A player like Julius should stay off social. Facts, he should, absolutely. Yep. And Pop would have probably smacked the living out of Randle by now. Yeah, would have sat him down for a couple games. And like Quiet says, last time I checked, the Knicks are the number one valued franchise. Yep, and 6th in all sports. I think the Knicks are a little more happy than Riley. like Jarvis says, does have to do with the number one option because the Knicks put Randle in that role, even though he isn't the number one, and teams found a formula that worked against Randle, and he still gets doubles. And 007, he would have sent Randle down to the G League to embarrass him right now. And part of the organization keeping Julia out of the press conference could be a signal that they're embarrassed too. Don't automatically assume that they've got his back or they're protecting him, right? It could be a bit of both ways, right? They might not want another blow up, another SDF up type thing. You know what I mean? Have to deal with that PR nightmare all over again. So I think this New York Knicks franchise, right? And I can see Leon Rose, World Wide West. I can see these guys are ruthless, shrewd business operators, right? For as soon as they fell in love with Randle, I could see them falling out of love with Randle as well. So stay tuned. I don't think they're married to Randle. I'm being honest. We heard it from Ian Begley, right? Teams are coming away with the indication that the New York Knicks would be open to including Randle. 007, I would totally laugh my ass off if Randle gets traded to the Spurs for DeJounte. Hey, I'd be lucky. I'll be dancing on the table if that happened. And Julian, that's facts, Jarvis. Randle doesn't make quick decisions, and it's hella annoying to watch. Right? Yeah, we can all see the double coming. He still wants to hold on to the ball, and he's not trusting the teammates either. I feel like he's not trusting his teammates. Drew, yes. Jarvis, yeah, Drew, yes, but more responding to a comment I saw your post. And Drew, I had a feeling you were I wasn't 100% sure. And Joe, says, Jeff Van Gundy did speak facts. Having an offense that can't score leads to your defense not being able to get set and defend. That's why our defense is so bad this year. You agree with Jeff Van Gundy or no? Yep, I agree. Absolutely facts, right? And sometimes someone who's outside of the organization, right, just can see it for what it is, right? You don't need to watch a team every single night. A player with like Jeff's experience, he just watches and he just knows what's wrong. Sometimes Tibbs, Julius, and us, we're just so involved, we're so invested that we're trying to put lipstick on a pig, right? Sometimes it just takes someone out from an outsider to just see what's going on as well. Eric, maybe Randle should just go G League for a bit. That's funny, that one. Javier, salute. The team isn't playing to their capacity due to Tibbs not keeping Randle accountable. This has had a trickle-down effect, and it's detrimental to the locker room. Start there and then see the changes as well. Yep, I agree. It is. It's unfortunate, but Tibbs, he's going to rock with his vets. He's going to ride and die with them. And 007 there, last year was a fluke and a contract year. We drafted Obi, and Randle saw the writing on the wall. He knew he was going to get moved. That's why he balled out, and we all fell for a scam. In terms of scam, like we kept an asset basically under our own caretake. Still think the Randle contract is a friendly deal. If we just let Randle walk, maybe that would have been a better move, but I don't think we've hurt ourselves keeping Randle. But we certainly did fall for the act in terms of, could he keep it up? Could Julius Randle keep it up? That's going to be really interesting, to see now whether the New York Knicks cut ties. And Jarvis says, I might be confident if I can see teams game plan for him and he produces like this for a month. And it only seems like it happens to the Knicks. Most teams try to force to his right, but they can't anymore because he'll do the CP3 and snake around the screen. I'd say that's game plan. And B. Willis, salute, got rid of 2 defensive players for 2 offensive players, and that don't play D. It's karma for what we did to Peyton. I know he's looking and laughing right there as well. No lie, he certainly would be. Situation blown up, saying, I'm the reason that you guys are struggling now, getting rid of me and Reggie. I just think it's more also the point guard, right? Even Elfrid Payton and his shortcomings gave us more stability at the point guard spot, right? Elfrid Payton would drive and kick. would get to the paint and collapse the D, get to put pressure on the rim, right? For all his shortcomings, right this year, we haven't had any stability at the point. Kemba's been in and out. D Rose injured. Quickly, we're not giving him the chance. Deuce, not, you know what I mean? The point guard situation's even worse than it was last season, right? It's like we didn't even learn anything from that last season. And Julian, can you guys name any teams where Randle would fit in? Honestly, can't think of any teams that would want to trade for Randle right now. I know it's going to be hard, to fit, sort of think about what teams, but I think they're out there, Julian. I do think there will be suitors for Julius, most definitely. I can't rattle all the names off. I just think, $19 million. There are players like Tobias Harris earning $40 million. There would be a lot of teams that would love to slot Julius in for $19 million as the third option, right? That's a very, very friendly salary for somebody who could be the third option for a team. I think Utah, Utah could be that one. Mike Conley's money. Mike Conley's got a lot of money on that books. Would you guys do a Conley Randle swap and maybe get another asset in place? And quiet. I don't think it's him not trusting his teammates. I think it's his low b-ball IQ, not allowing him to make the quick reads enough to beat the D. In the exotic zone coverages against Julius as well. We've been facing crazy zone. But RJ won't be a double team like Randle. His game isn't one-dimensional because he's shown flashes of creating his own, especially from the mid-range. And please don't bring up that name. Let's look past that. You know what I mean? Let's just rectify this and get a point guard in here. You guys tell me, right? Which is the point guard you can see for this team, right? Whether we keep Julius, we move on from him, we rock with Obi, we rock with Cam, whoever, right? We need a point guard. So tell me who is the point guard you can see for this future, right? Do you want to give the keys to the player on this roster quickly? With Deuce, Rokas, even? Do you want to keep the seat warm for them? Do you want to make a swing for Jalen Brunson, Fox? Kick the tires on Ben Simmons? Who's your point guard preference right now? Because we can't continue to neglect that situation. And quiet, Alfred pulling splinters. He's not laughing at nobody. He's too busy. In a 007, you mean Elfridge, because he can't hit the basket if his life depended on it. A lot of Alfred, you know what I mean? Alfred, it didn't work out. The Alfred thing, I'm glad we moved on from Alfred. I don't want to do the revisionist stuff, but at the end of the day, we didn't address it. We jettisoned Alfred out of here, but we didn't address the position. We are listening to offers for Quickly, and that tells me he's off the table. We aren't listening to offers yet, and that tells me he's off the table as well. To 007, I can see he could be off the table, but I won't completely rule out him being included in a bigger deal as well. I think teams are calling us for Quickly specifically and trying to just get Quickly off of us, but I don't think we're going to swap Quickly for a 1v1 trade because, on his salary, there's nobody worth it. And I appreciate Hadouken up in here. Salute. This front office has got a lot of decisions to make, right? But we have flexibility. We've got some young players to build around. I just want to see it, like the silver lining, like Javier says. So many young players and draft assets. Let's roll with them. Wouldn't give up picks and young guys to build around Randle, Fournier, and Walker, right? Yeah, it's treading the NBA treadmill, right? You could be mediocre, you could be 12th and 11th with a young team. We didn't need Julius Randle and Fournier and all Burks, all these guys to be the 12th seed, right? We could have been the 12th seed, giving these young guys minutes, right? You know what I mean? We're treading the NBA treadmill right now. mediocrity, and we need to pivot. And like I said, I'm not mad at the front office because we got to the 4th seed, right? They had a right to think that we were closer than what we may have been, but this year has shown everybody now that we're nowhere near closer than what we thought last season, right? So just reverse pivot to this new timeline with Star J Barrett, Cam Reddish, Deuce, Grimes, Quickly, Obi, Samanich, Jokic, whoever we draft, whoever we trade for, you know what I mean? Just build around that timeline now, because man, a team's coming, right? Toronto's still pretty young. They're going to be around. Cleveland's contending now. Cleveland's beating Milwaukee, for God's sake. Here we are rocking with vets, mediocre vets, right? Cleveland done leveled up in the blink of an eye and is challenging Milwaukee, right? What's Detroit going to look like in 2 years' time with more picks, more generational picks and talent, right? You know what I mean? The longer we jog this treadmill, we're just going to get left behind. You know what I mean? And Eric says, there was talk that we were going to trade Randle for Conley after Julius rookie year here as well. Yeah, facts, right? And we know Utah Jazz, right? They've got to be scared right now. So look out for that. Yeah, we lost without Bullock and L, facts. And Hadouken got some jewels. Bobby suggested that the Knicks to trade Burks, Kemba, and Fournier for Westbrook and the 2027 Lakers first. I wanted to bash my head in the wall after hearing that. Yeah, some of these guys just not thinking about from an organization standpoint. They're just thinking about what's going to get clicks, I think. And like Allah says, you talking about he who shall not remain nameless. Facts. That's how bad it is. And B. Willis, I think they sat him in the playoffs for more offense to match Trae Young. Bring Bobby Portis back ASAP. We need that length and grittiness ASAP. I think we're good at the power forward spot. But let's see if we clear this logjam. I think, Sacramento Kings, look for that buzz to continue. Would you guys take any trash from Sacramento? Harrison Barnes, Buddy Hield, Halliburton, would you take him? Julian, so annoying that we were in the lottery this year after missing the 2021 lottery. Only the Knicks. Drew, you too, brother. I could actually have respectable debates with people and comments here. Facts, right? You guys are the best chat in the business, no doubt about it. We can agree to disagree. We all keep it respectful. We keep the streets buzzing. That's why we're here. Just healthy Knicks talk. And we shout you out. 007, what we need to do is play Deuce. He's a better defender than Elf. Just watch the vid of what McBride did to the number 1 overall pick, Cade. And it was brutal as well. Yeah. As well with that 007, there's no doubt that Deuce is a first round type talent as well. He may have been selected in the second round, but he has talent of a first rounder, as quoted by so many draft scouts, and the executives and all the like. I'm all for Deuce McBride. Just get all the minutes he can get with the G League or, solid backup minutes for us this season, together with Quickly. Let's see what Rokas continues to do in Europe. He's continuing to grow every single game, right? Rokas flirting with triple doubles and the like, which is exciting, because this organization can draft, right? And that's one part of building this thing. We talked about Cleveland and Detroit and these teams on the come up, right? The New York Knicks have a lot of draft picks, so we can match toe to toe with that. We have Dallas's pick still. We have all our own first round picks. We have more than enough second round picks coming up in the next 3-4 years to make a lot of picks, smart picks in the second round and trades as well. So we have flexibility with this thing. It's going to be interesting, but yeah, I can see this thing popping in the next week. Like, make no mistake about it. Buzz is growing every single day. After we finish this show today and we wake up tomorrow, there's going to be a hell of a lot more news, to come through. Of course, we play Milwaukee as well, and we'll be on after the show. We'll be on late tomorrow as well, so rock with us again. There's going to be some more talking points. Will they hold Julius out of the press conference again? I'd put my money on it that they probably will. The fact that these trade rumors are out there right now. Can you imagine if they let Stefan Bondi and Mark Berriman, and the like, everybody else, have open slather with Julius? If we stink it up tomorrow, it's going to be must-see TV. And like Julian says, I'm pretty Halliburton is only available for the Simmons trade. They don't want to let him go otherwise as well. Yeah, you're pretty sure. I could see that too, but I do think SAC have got to do something with their guards, Fox, Halliburton, or Davian. They need to move one of them at least. They definitely need to move one of those things, and be quiet. We but that can definitely change. Do you do Cam last? Back at it. I appreciate you. Apologies, technical difficulties, but back in full effect. Let's get it. I'll get to everyone's comment. Joe Smoke, welcome back. You think there's anything we can offer for Jordan Poole? Hey, that'd be a great pick. Golden State know how to recruit. We need to continue to find some jewels like that. And yep, like Lucas says, trade Evan and Kemba and Noel. I'm getting some audio lag. Yep, technical difficulties. Let me know if you guys got me. Yeah, if you can hear me clearly or not, or I'll reset this thing and come back. But yeah, Jarvis says, yeah, I think we're on if Tibbs might be acting a little senile as well. Yep, yeah, absolutely. And Julian, it sucks. Yeah, what makes it worse is the 2022 draft class is weak. Yep, it's weak in terms of star power at the very top, but in terms of the second round, it's deep. It's actually deep in the second round. And Lex, at the end of the day, all these issues point directly at Tibbs. In my opinion, a better coach can get much more out of this squad. Yep, appreciate it. Drew, yeah, the thing is, though, there's always hidden talent in the draft. Leon Rose, so, yeah, he has done an excellent job at that. Yeah, I think one thing they're good at is consolidating as well. Like, let's say they got 3 first-round picks, the second-round picks, they could package them and move up. If they want to, they could do a lot of things. They could kick the can down the road and then try to trade a pick for a future draft. That's a stronger draft as well. These guys have scouts, watching high school guys now as well, high school guys on close watch. So, perhaps the situation is that the New York Knicks identify, more talent later in the future to be able to, pull off that, that stud that we need, right? And we got Kentucky as well. And B. Willis, go and get frozen next year to teach quick. True, yeah. To Jarvis, yeah, I guess, yeah, if you want to, you can sub me in my friend's YouTube. Okay, appreciate you. Appreciate it. Let's get it. And Julian, hey, just putting it out there, would you guys try trade Randle and Evan for Dame, or should we rebuild and go younger as well? Definitely, I would go younger on, in terms of Dame. I don't think Portland's going to move on, and I don't think Dame's, wanting to move on just yet. I think Dame's going to want to sit at, rock with Portland, for a bit as well. We've got Drew, on YouTube, Hoop Realm. Hit that up, appreciate it. And you guys keeping things buzzing, and DeRozan, is it DeRozan? Yep, Drazen to run the point. We need this point situation sorted ASAP. And I think they will. I think they will rectify it at the deadline, because we just can't continue to go without a point guard, right? Even if we keep Julius till the summer, I'm okay with that. But we got to take the ball out of his hands. Like I never thought I'd watch a team run the offense through a power forward for this long. A power forward that's not a great decision maker. Not good at his dribble. High turnover situation as well. And I know you have more turnovers, when you have the ball. But I just think a good point guard can make Julius look even better, right? He doesn't need the ball in his hands all the time. Yeah, he just doesn't. I think, I do think that Julius will look even better with another point guard up in here in this squad. In terms of the buzz growing, like I said, the New York Knicks are open to listening to offers for Julius. We got offers for Fournier, Kemba, Burks, which was music to my ears as well. Let's continue to see what we can get. I know we're still fighting for the play-in as well. The New York Knicks probably will get close to making the play-in or make the play-in. I think we will. And I do think that regardless of the course we end up going on this season, we need to have our eyes on the future right now. We're just not as close as what we would have hoped after last season. And I must admit, I came into this season with a lot of hopes. I wasn't going to think we were going to go all the way or anything, but I would have hoped we could make the playoffs, at least top 6, and continue to grow with this squad. But I think sometimes this could be for the better as well. Finding out what these guys are, and finding out what these guys are, and just knowing what the right players are to build around, for the future. Julius is showing us who he really is. We saw 2019 last season, and then back to this season again. He's showing us that he really is number 2, really realistically a number 3, on a team. And Drew says, I actually have to disagree with your point guard and Randle take, because Randle will have to change his entire play style. Okay. I can understand what you're saying with that situation. Randle obviously he's effective when he has the ball in his hands as well, and he will have to change his entire play style. I guess I'm at the point where I'm sick of seeing him turn the ball over, have to make decisions all the time. Or Randle will have to be a shooter like last season, because a point guard can only do so much as well. Or at least, at the very least, get Randle to the second, third option as well. So he's not hijacking plays. He's not needing the ball to touch the ball, every single time. I mean, Julius Randle's a role player. He's been a role player on every team. He doesn't need to touch the ball, and he shouldn't be touching the ball on offense every time. He should be getting down low, getting closer to the basket, using his size to bully guys down low. And B. Willis, we didn't. Walker and Evans needed post presence with the kids we got in the draft. Lex, it baffles me why Deuce doesn't get burned. We saw this kid 16. If that doesn't scream point guard, I don't know what does as well. Facts. Let's hope that Deuce McBride, that young king, gets all the minutes he needs to develop either in the G League or in this club after the deadline as well. And maybe back up whoever, if we do make a move for Brunson, for Fox, that Deuce can back that man up because he does have all the tools. Two-way guy, can defend like we said. It makes no sense because he's a defender, right? Tom Thibodeau loves players that can defend, so he definitely needs minutes, Lex. And like Drew says, it's further elaborate. Most point guards play fast now. Randle doesn't fit that meta. Randle would have been better in the 90s. Javier, trade seems very likely with the rumors coming out. Have to believe Julius is gone, but for who? I'm hoping for some draft capital, but his stock is all-time low as well. Look for Randle. If he is traded in this deadline or in the summer, look for it to be a multiple team deal. I think multiple team deal. I don't really see a 1-for-1 like to teams as well. And it may be a case of we just have to continue to play Randle and just hope that his stock can get back up. It's going to be tough for this front office, right? They committed 5 years to the man, right? We need to make something about it happen. Be civilized. Randle should be playing on the blocks. Bad coaching as well. Yep. Having Randle dribble handoffs top of the key, that's tough. And Drew, that's why I'm so high on Obi. Amen. Dude's like 260 and he shoots jumpers. That's just soft as well. B Willis to the chat. Don't break no TVs. Just turn it off. Manshot Berman asked the players questions we, the fans, want to hear as well. That's what makes them uncomfortable. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is, right? What's perceived that he's always fishing for some dirt or something. Sometimes he's just wanting to have a story to break. As a reporter, get to the bottom of certain things that people want to hide. Drew says, this team has broken more souls than TVs at point. Yeah, right. The New York Knicks will be at my funeral, because so they can let me down one more time. It's been that long, but no, I mean, we're a sucker for punishment. We keep rocking with it, but we've been in much worse situations, right? It will be a much more brighter future. This team, like I said, has younger players, assets that we can rock with. A lot of really likable players. You know what I mean? Likable players that I can rock with. It's the players that aren't likable that I'm struggling with right now. They're not helping us win, and they're not good guys anyway. And Julian, I don't know if we can wait till the summer. Rather wait for the best deal. But I'm concerned about Randle's reaction to trade rumors. It's going to get uglier. Facts, like we've been saying. Look out for more buzz, more press conferences being held out. A couple of more losses. Milwaukee coming up. And it may just be untenable. But it's a business at the end of the day, and they can't trade Randle on a penny on a dollar. That would be another fireable offense. That would be a nail in their coffin if they created this mess and then they were unable to even, get out of the mess or make the mess even more, right? It'd be like taking a flame to gas and lighting it. Like B Willis says, Randall's went Hollywood on us. They gave him the green light for the ball. Facts, right? Straight LA Hollywood with us. And a 007, trade Tibbs to the Lakers for Vogel if I could. We get a decent coach, and Tibbs would have all the old fart veterans he could possibly want. Yeah, apparently the Lakers fans hate Vogel as well. Okay, yep, and straight soft dude shooting jumpers over 6-footers, driving over to the basket. Yep, I appreciate it, loud and clear as well. Okay, appreciate that. Must have different people on certain delays as we're rocking out. Yeah, appreciate the love, everyone. Yep. Yep, B. Willis. Don't watch the game on the big screen. And yep, Drew getting some great content out there as well, so stay tuned. Joseph, hear me out. If we don't get our number one option, stable point guard, let's trade our vets and Randle for Bledsoe and Ibaka. Clips win our vets, and we get an open lane for Obi, IQ, Cam to flourish. Thoughts on that? I've got to see their contracts. I'm not opposed to taking on them as players, in as stopgaps. I've just got to see their contracts, Joseph. Not sure what Bledsoe and Ibaka's contracts are at, but I'm all for flexibility. If they're flexible in terms of expiring, then I'm okay with that as well. Yeah, because I want to get out of Fournier and Burks' money. And yeah, literally, I think part of that as well, because he gets so many charges called against him, he stopped attacking hard to the bucket. Yeah, I can definitely see that as an influence as well. And appreciate Sherwin. Good morning. I was reading a possible trade, Caris LeVert for Fournier and the Knicks first from this draft. Okay. Look, that'd still be signifying all in, trying to win for these New York Knicks. Wouldn't mind Caris LeVert at all, but get out of Fournier's money. That wouldn't be a bad move at all. Javier, props to RJ for stepping up as a leader, answering those questions post-game. The future is bright. It will eventually be his team as well. And Sherwin, definitely look into that trade heavily. If we can get out of Fournier, get him out of here, right? It's just causing too much friction, and his defensive liability. And Leon Rose has proven to be patient with these trades. The D Rose and Cam trades were good deals for us, so I'd think Rose will be patient with dealing Randle as well. Yeah, he knows all about business, right? Does Leon Rose? He knows about business, straight facts, and he's not going to trade pennies on a dollar. I don't think. Like I said, it's a fireable offense. If he was to trade Randle pennies on a dollar after committing, to Julius in that situation. So yeah, it bears watching, but I understand fans are frustrated to see what's happening, with this team, and the draft after the top 5 is not good. Yep, absolutely agree with that. It's not good in terms of star talent. Sherwin as well. So yeah, in terms of point guard, you guys let me know what you want to see at point guard. They threw out Joseph threw out the Bledsoe thing. That could be a stopgap. But in terms of Fox, future point guard, Fox, Halliburton, Brunson, Simmons, who is your guy to come in here and solve this problem? This problem we've had for so long, right? Whether we keep Julius or not, if we keep an Obi, we're going to need a point guard to run with that situation, right? So who's your guy? I know Manchild would go for Simmons in a heartbeat as well. I think Sherwin wants Simmons as well. I think Sherwin's for Simmons. We'd be in the bottom 5 yet. We might be in the bottom 5 to Sherwin. Who knows? And Sherwin says, if the Knicks is to trade Randle, I'll become a Nets fan. Wow. Randle is the only all-star player on this roster as well. That's showing a lot of loyalty, Sherwin, to just one player, right? To become a Nets fan, but that's up to you. This situation, Julius it may not be all on Julius in terms of as well the roster construction, the poor decisions being made, but at the end of the day, Julius has brought a lot on himself too in terms of how he's handled the situation, right? The way he's handled the media, the fans, and the spotlight and all that as well. And so in terms of the point guard, I'll give you my thoughts on that. I think, Ben Simmons, I would be open to that. I'm not going to lie. If Julius Randle was packaged in that deal, maybe send Tobias Harris somewhere else. Obviously they're trying to get rid of Tobias Harris's money as well as Simmons's money. So I can understand. That. Unfortunately, we can't take both those guys. No way. So we need to rectify this point guard situation, right? And Billy says, the solution is Deuce McBride. However, a Ben Simmons acquisition moves us into the positionless basketball realm as well. Yep, that it does, Billy. It certainly does. You could play so many lineups with Deuce and with Ben on the floor, at the same time, right? Ben can play the 3, he can play the 4. Deuce McBride even quickly out there. I could see that, and unfortunately, I don't think we have what it takes to get the deal done, to satisfy Philly. But let's see for that in that situation. But we do need to fix this point guard, situation ASAP, right? Because it's making the whole roster and everything just look 10 times worse. In my opinion, I think it's just making things look 10 times worse. Not getting guys in the right situations and where they need to be. And fans are saying, we've had darker days in Sherwin, but yet Sherwin's obviously a bit frustrated with the situation, with the heat Randall's been taking. But at the end of the day, I rock out with the orange and blue. There's going to be players come and go, right? We can't be married to any player. Billy, getting rid of Julius was and is the original plan. Remember, we drafted Obi to replace Julius. Trading Randle is inevitable as well. That definitely was the plan. We didn't feel like Julius was going to ball out last season, and Leon did take his guy. That bears watching. Maybe they just paid him to, as he showed he was an asset, and let's see what they do in terms of pivoting from that thinking, right? As a business, you got to be flexible. You've got to be willing to be able to pivot. Sherwin says DeJounte or Wall is the 2-point guards you would take as well. Yep. Good suggestions with that. DeJounte all day, every day. And let's see if we can tempt the Spurs. Right. Let's see if we can tempt them out here. And salute. Yep. Quiet money on your grind as always. Let's get it. Sherwin, yep. I'm not looking to trade Mitch. RJ, Randall, Grimes, or McBride. And RJ, Drew, one thing I will say is that I like about the Knicks fans is that they are never afraid to speak their minds, and that top of the media cartel, aka coach, front office, and Dolan hate it when we are right as well. Yep, absolutely. We tell them what's up, and we keep it real, right? We're the ones that pay our hard-earned, or we spend our life watching this thing. We have every right to agree, disagree with what. And of course, the biggest thing is we've been bad for 25, 30 years, right? We have every right to want to see success, right? Finally, after you invest in something so long, you want to see it return for something, don't you? You want to see us succeed and be able to celebrate the wins, right? And at least be relevant all day, every year. Salute to that. Sherwin Randall's a 2010 guy over the last 5 seasons as well. Yep. He's a valuable player. Yep. He's got value. I want him in a different role. I want him second, third option, or just see what we can get. But he's got to be able to handle this spotlight, handle the situation better, and just keep more calm. And B. Willis, yep. Quiet, get it together and focus, fam. Manchild, Cheryl, and M need to put that pipe down. Lexia Randle is also a 7 player. And how many a 7 turnover player as well? And how many 2010 players are there in the NBA over the past 5 seasons? Randle had an out-of-body experience season that stayed off his trade legs. The true Julius is who we are seeing now. This is RJ's team. Cam is here now. Y'all know the vibes as well. In terms of Julius, like I just think he's got too much freedom now, holding up the offense at certain times, not being accountable, right? Moving the rock, right? It's so clear that he just wants to be that number one guy all the time. RJ Barrett will be sitting there wide open, clapping, and Randle passes him the ball when it's just too late. When it's too late. And you guys keeping it buzzing. Appreciate you and all this wise talk. Let's get it. Randle is averaging 3.4 turnovers from Sherwin, and LeBron's averaging 3.08, or as I call him, West Brick as well. Appreciate it. You guys are West Brick. You guys getting it popping as well. Julian Randle averages 10 boards and only 3 contested boards per game. His rebound stats are overrated. One thing I want to see, that Julius is not giving us is effort on the defensive end. And that we can say, right? We can say that, we're not getting the same effort as he was giving us last season. And, and that's facts, right? We can't lie. That's facts. He brought a lot of this on himself in terms of, I know his shortcomings on offense, but if Julius was playing his ass off each and every night, if he was playing his tail off, defensively, the fans probably wouldn't have got on him the way he was. You know what I mean? We were letting layup lines, effort defensively, things like that, and the favoritism that he's getting is just irking the fans even more, right? If your best player can't be held accountable, right? It's just like everyone else can do whatever they want. They can free reign, and that's why Tibbs is maybe going down in a sinking ship. And Quiet says Randle has a problem making quick decisions, and it's becoming an issue. So we're playing at a very slow pace. And Billy, a great point. Tibbs displaying favoritism, which doesn't bode well for the Knick culture as well. For all the talk, there's a lot of players in the locker room disgruntled at the fact that Kemba Walker, was ostracized so quickly, but other parts of the roster were not. That they were not receiving the same treatment as that. So that's got some players in their feelings right now. Probably Fournier, Fournier's got some issues with Randle, and vice versa. And Julian says, Julius only gives effort when his shot is falling. If he is missing, he's in his feelings and doesn't put in the effort. Yep, absolutely. And that's what's frustrating people too, right? We a lot of us have learned to live with Julius's shortcomings on offense as our number one option. But what we won't live with is him just standing there on the other end. And Sherwin says Randle's stats show that he's the third best defender at the power forward in the NBA. Only Green and Giannis are better as well. If that's the case, then it's certainly stats are certainly somewhat misleading, because I think it's more effort and energy level, in terms of being the help defender and things like that. Billy, Randle stats are an empty this year. Averaging a double-double that results in a loss is counterproductive and also a poor example for the young Knickerbockers. And some guy posted on how Randle tricked the NBA. The thumbnail is here hilarious. Yep. Yeah, facts. Lex, even Randle's good games are bad games, bro. Wake up and stop believing in the padded stats. And Javier, Randle should anticipate the doubles and pass quickly. This is the Julius we enjoyed. Make his teammates better too, but he is reverting to the default factory settings. I couldn't have said it better myself, Javier, on the money with that. Like I said, Julius is a good player in there, no doubt. It's just, again, he needs to be coached up. He needs to understand that we are better when he moves the ball quickly, makes smart decisions. Again, some on the coaching too, giving him too much reign to just dribble too much and turn the ball over, not cutting his minutes, scared to lose the locker room, things like that. And B says, our whole team needs to make picks and back picks and move without the ball, and no ball sticking and settling for threes as well. Absolutely, that's been the money on that B. Not enough cuts. We're the second last team in the league in cuts. No ball movement, isolation heavy. Dudes just standing around. No wonder it's so easy to play zone, against us as well. And that's on the coaching staff as well. Tom Thibodeau. We lost Mike Woodson. How much of that is on maybe losing Mike Woodson? Do you guys feel? Do you guys think we really miss Mike Woodson? Let's see, because Tom Thibodeau and whoever else, the other, Johnny Bryan, Dice, and that they're not creative enough, in my opinion, with picks and moving the ball. And Manchell says Randle's relationship with the fans is now toxic already. The best way is to get rid of him as well. And let's continue to see, right? If this thing blows up, we'll know why. Right? It's getting to that point where, the Garden crowd, the faithful, is going to let things know. The beat writers are going to ask the hard questions. The front offices are going to have to keep pulling him out of the press conferences if he can't answer a question and keep his cool, right? For a 27-year-old to be in his feelings that much, after getting paid and giving him the flowers, I mean, that's just crazy. And Sharon says Nick's system is the reason why Randle stays in the pain. He's given a chance to guard a 90% short shot or try to defend a 36% three-point shot. B. Willis, don't let Randles take the last shot all the time. The team want him to shoot and he's not a closer. That's another thing, putting him in positions to fail as well, and holding the ball way too long, right? We saw glimpses of that last season even when Randle was balling out. We saw so many situations where he was just holding the ball way too long. And like Lex says, we're also blaming Tibbs here. So we're not getting it twisted. Facts. We're blaming a lot of people, right? We're not just getting on Julius, but truth be told, Julius is the number one player on this team. We're acknowledging that, and that's why your number one guy has got to be the guy that takes the bullets, right? He takes the most bullets, whether he wants to or not. When you earn the contract and you take on that mantle on a team, you've got to have that thicker skin, and just face the media. Even if you don't like the questions, just say nothing, just deflect the thing, just say next question, even, right? Respectfully say next question. I already answered that, or something. And Sharon, if you know basketball, when Randle get double, if the players are not cutting, Randle can't make quick passes. Who is he going to pass to? And that's on other players as well. They need to cut. Players need to cut, but Julius needs to see them. He needs to see them and he needs to find them. And Julius was never a Batman, doesn't possess the B-ball IQ to be Robin, and his ego won't allow him to be Alfred as well. Nice Batman takes their Billy, and it's true, true philosophy with that. He was never a Batman on any team, right? He just happened to be Batman last season and ball out. And I can understand why the front office invested in him, gave him the contract and things like that. But, at the end of the day, they need to pivot, right? They need to continue to build around RJ, you know what I mean? And I appreciate you, 007, and everyone in the chat's got it lit tonight. You guys keep this thing buzzing. This is your show, the chat show. We'll be back on tomorrow night as well. There'll be more juicy talk, more buzz. And I know you guys are going to be up in here, the best chat in the business. What are your predictions for the the Milwaukee game. I mean, I'm done with making predictions anymore. I'm just going to tune in to the show, and see what this thing's going to be, right? Because I'm not putting all my eggs in any game's basket, right? This is a long-term thing, you know what I mean? I'm just waiting for the bomb to blow, for the grenade to blow. You know what I mean? I'm taking cover. Billy says, I trust Leon is going to shape-shift the roster in a manner that forces Tibbs to play the most productive players as well. That would be a late Christmas present from me, Billy, too, because those two need to get on the same page. And, maybe Tibbs is just playing the guys that he needs to play, politic-wise, in terms of the salary. He's playing the money, the Kembas, the Fourniers, and all of that. But exactly like you said, the moment Leon clears the runway, it's up to Tibbs to then just play who, it's a no-brainer to play who needs to be played. And you guys are truly dope. Absolutely, you know what I mean? You've all got the chat buzzing, and not feeling the Tibbs usage of IQ or Burks at the PG. Tibbs stubborn. Yep, I think right now, we know for record that Tibbs isn't a fan of Kemba. He's just not a fan of Kemba. I think he's just playing him because of the politics, the issue it caused, sitting him out. It took the league. We got a lot of blowback. I think a lot of that was unjustified. When Tibbs took Kemba out of the rotation, we were a incredibly poor defensive team. But the league, of course, they don't watch all the New York Knicks games. So they were like, what are the Knicks doing to Kemba? But, at the end of the day, Tibbs was doing the right thing. To go back and put Kemba in the lineup, that tells me that Leon probably said something, after Kemba came back. But, Kemba can't play how many games in a row, right? He's just not fit for this situation right now, right? We're not going to win with the 31-year-old Kemba. And we're not gaining anything by losing with Kemba, right? We could gain by losing with Deuce getting minutes, growing every game, quickly growing. Cam, we're just not growing with a 31-year-old Kemba, right? He's not taken no club to a championship, as the starting point guard, right? It's a waste of space right now as Kemba Walker, truth be told. And Joseph, Randle needs to get his A in the post and use that strong body and bully ball. Mike Woodson would tell him you are not going beyond 12 feet from the basket. Exactly. Yeah. And in the true Patrick Ewing meme, is that the shot you practice? Do you practice that shot? Putting up those shots all the time, right? Move the ball. And like I said, I blame everybody. I'm not just blaming Julius, right? He is one part of a problem that we hope to fix and resolve, right? This front office got a whole heap of other problems, right? Tibbs is a problem for Leon Rose right now. What does he do with Tom Thibodeau? What does he do for the point guard spot? What does he do with in terms of trying to get, assets back for Julius or with Obi? Whichever one they need to rock with for the future, right? That's going to be interesting. And I think one block at a time is going to start to, they're taking calls right now. Like we pulled up earlier, Brian Windhorst reports New York Knicks are open to moving Kemba, Fournier, and Burks, fielding calls for quickly, as well. So, this thing's crazy. It's gonna keep, buzzing until it explodes right now. And I think Quiet Money says, I think we'll be run over by a herd of bucks later tonight. Or you know what? Maybe these dudes play so scared that they just play the game of their life, right? And they play hard. They finally decide now to play hard defensively, right? And pull off a close loss or something, or a fake comeback. And Manchot Van Gundy summed it nice about this team the other night as well. Yeah, as we touched on earlier, Manchot, when a wise knowledge, basketball mind looks at things from the outside, so he can see that, hey, I do not envy that situation Tom Thibodeau's in right now. Like, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. And B. Willis, Julius got to work out with Bernard King. He got to give him some fakes sometimes, and he work on his fade away. yeah, facts. We need to get more former players in here on that note, and get dudes humbled as well, right? Some of these young dudes think they're all that. Like their game don't need no refinement. Their game don't need working on. Ben Simmons is probably one of them, right? They need these legends to come up here and humble them, right? In a 1v1, right? A 50-year-old Hakeem Olajuwon, right? Just come in here and school Randall, or bring in Rasheed Wallace or somebody like that, right? Because these dudes, 27-year-old dudes that got paid the bag and things like that, they think they're the second coming, and they need to be humbled right now. And some of these players are all just accolade type players anyway, right? We don't know. Maybe we're making assumptions, but maybe Julius Randle don't really care for winning much. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing this out there. It's a possibility, right? He's got his All-Star, he's got his MIP, he's got his All NBA for whatever it was, second team, and then he got his bag, right? Him and his family set for life, right? Maybe that's just good for them. Not saying they want to lose forever, but maybe the hunger's not there. He don't really care too much anymore, right? He's checked out, right? It's ridiculous. He should be trying to take that next step from last year and prove to everybody that he has another step to go to. You know what I mean? Instead of bitching and moaning and stuff about everything. And Javier, and look, yeah, and on that note, to not face the press conferences, right? The club may say we're going to hold you out, but to me, what I believe a true leader is that you're a player that go, no, screw that, I'm going to face the media, right? You're hiding behind your employer hiding you, right? If your employer saying no, you don't face the media, that's a joke, right? If Julius was the leader of this club and wanted to take us further, he should be the one to say, hey, I'm facing the media. Why you want to hold me out? Where Star J Barrett comes in and faces the media, you know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, it's pointing towards the organization doesn't have the complete confidence now, in Julius. And I think it's going to, it's a ticking bomb. And Billy, Taj is an anomaly, which speaks to Tibbs's coaching style. Why and how does this man still get minutes as well? Again, Tom Thibodeau's 64 years old, Billy, and he's coaching for his NBA life right now. He knows, the next NBA job might not be ever come again, and I think he's just reliving his past with a player that he hopes can get it done. For him as well. It is ridiculous, to be honest with you. We're nowhere near competing, and we're playing 36-year-old Taj. Taj should be an end of the bench player at this point in time. And Sean says if Mitch had a better point, he will average 16 a game. Most of Mitch's point comes from boards and not his teammates passing the ball to him as well. Yep. Yeah, Mitch has a lot of growth too. I know you're high on Mitch as well, and a lot of people too. In terms of offensive game, he does get ignored a lot. I don't know. Yeah, I guess teammates just don't trust him as much as probably what they should. Proven around the basket, he can catch, he can get fouled. One thing I'm disappointed with Mitch is he hasn't improved his free throw shooting. Right, he's had years, to continue to improve. And I appreciate you, Jarvis, and being up in here. Salute to you, my friend. Keeping things buzzing, giving us your wise thoughts, and that was the media searching for drama, so they used us as clickbait. And Julian says Randall Fax needs to play like Karl Malone and not John Stockton as well. And the 3-ball green light, Randall Tibbs should turn it off right now. It's looking pretty ugly. You know what? That is one skill that I really hope Julius wasn't a fluke on. That he could come back this season and shoot the 40% again. But boy, was we way off. I was way off on that. The empty gyms was definitely a factor, right? I don't use the word fluke loosely, but yeah, it was a factor. The empty gyms and Julius shooting the way he was, and showing if Obi was the starter, we would not win 20 games this next year as well. We've got to give the mans a chance to see. Julius has had the chance. Julius has had minutes. If Julius is moved on, the New York Knicks are giving Obi that runway as well. So that's going to be really interesting. And I think it's going to be hard to trade both, to be honest with you. Obi probably has barely any trade value right now, if we're being honest, right? What team is chomping at the bit to take Obi Toppin right now and give out substantial assets that's worth our while giving away Obi? And on the other plate, what other offers are going to people throw at us for Julius right now, right? Some used some used toothpicks and a packet of Skittles. I don't know. People see what's going on. The league's not stupid right now. They see what's happening, right? And Drew says Obi was averaging like 16 and 8 as a starter and playing at a high efficiency, but they went to a bottom dweller again. No one's got the fan base more divided in this situation again, right? We moved on from Frank Ntilikina. We moved on from the Alfred Paytons of the world, but we're still fan base divided on certain dudes, right? I'm not divided on nobody. I just want the New York Knicks to make the smart moves to get better as an organization, get better as a team. My eye test tells me all that I need to see. I don't need to see wicked stats and positive minuses and all this kind of thing, right? My eye test tells me all that I need to see, whether it's working or it's salvageable or whether it's not working. Basketball is a team sport, so other people are always accountable, but that doesn't mean that there is one person central to a dysfunction or a dysfunction of a team, right? Sometimes it's addition by subtraction, and you do just need to move the biggest elephant in the room, to ease things up a little bit. Could the organization completely reverse pivot in at the summer? Could Randle and Tibbs be a package that are both gone out of here as well? You let me know. You let me know if Tibbs and Randle's days are numbered as well. What do you think about that? Do you think one of them or both, if not safe? And Sherwin says Mitch is better than Gobert. Gobert is a better rim protector. Peace, Jarvis. Salute, rocking out. Get some rest. We're back at it tomorrow. Need your strength and have a lovely sleep. And Max Kelly, salute. They could have had a flawed general like Kyle Lowry, who would have been taking the ball out of Julius's hands and controlled the offense. That no doubt he would have. We just needed another vet point guard, to get this thing, more cohesive as well. But I don't think Lowry was necessarily the right dude. He would definitely be the best player available and an upgrade. But yeah, Kyle went to Miami. He didn't want no parts of this. Fred VanVleet didn't want no parts. The Lonzo Ball one was really interesting. We don't really know how interested the Knicks were in terms of the front office didn't have consensus on Lonzo Ball. They didn't have any consensus on Lonzo in terms of, I think a few people were interested, a few weren't. We don't know if he was interested in the Knicks at all, but the New York Knicks obviously ended up with Kemba. I don't think it was their plan A or plan B, but it's still a failure on their record, the fact that they didn't address the position. Anybody could have just taken that flyer for Kemba. It was absolutely the right move to make, in terms of, making the flyer. But I don't think, the New York Knicks whiffed on any particular point guard because there weren't that many available. But, we do need to address that ASAP, at this trade deadline, and invest in who we got on this roster right now. Lex says, Obi's steadily improving. We already know what Randle is. Yet that's one thing, like I've been saying, we know the ceiling of Burks, Kemba, Fournier, Noel, and Julius. We know they're not players that, to take us where we need to go. And I just think we need to start investing on the next timeline, get what we can get. We're seeing so many teams, go the other way and, build for the future right now. And I don't want to get left behind. Javier, Sims and Robinson are too alike in terms of centers. We're not much shooting range. I can see us moving on from one of them to get a stretch option. But do we pay Robinson? Hasn't grown much with some maturity issues. Great question and point, Javier. But Robinson has shown some growth maturity-wise. staying out of foul trouble. He's playing through pain. His commitment to the game has impressed me. But you're right. Yeah, he has some shortcomings. And it's a tough situation to decide, how much to commit to Mitch right now. I'm glad the New York Knicks have been patient and kept Mitch, right? Kept him, given him the full season to give him a chance to show who he can be. But at the end of the day, they're going to have to decide how much to pay him. The Miles Turner thing is going to be real interesting because he's close to Julius, right? But if they think Julius isn't a part of this thing anymore, and of course Turner has the stress reaction now, maybe that's a situation that the New York Knicks turn the other cheek and don't go down that route no more. So yeah, the center spot, more question marks there too. Noel's not a thing for the future. Let's hope Jericho Sims, can get some minutes, continuing with the G League or with the big club. Joseph just realized Tibbs has a 5-year contract. The young kids are for sure not getting any minutes ever. He doesn't develop talent. Tibbs not getting fired anytime soon with that contract. You make a great point. I still think I wouldn't put it past Dolan to make the firing, but maybe not this summer, maybe one more year after. We just got too many people on the payroll. Joakim Noah is still on the payroll, and his money comes off at the end of the season. Just Joakim Noah. So I'm not sure if Dolan's still paying Phil Jackson. Maybe one more year of Phil Jackson as well. So yeah, I can see how Dolan's shelving out a lot of money, and he's got to be frustrated with that. So yeah, maybe we are still going to rock with Tibbs, but Leon needs to set the expectations now, like the chat have been on fire saying all night. Clear the runway so that Tibbs has to play who he has with the young fellas. And like B Willis says, our coach don't trust nobody but Julius Grimes. My guy Grimes is free now, but free McBride. Yeah, I'm happy that he's giving Grimes some minutes, but it's just funny that it's at the expense of Cam now, right? The first half of the season, I was hoping and praying that Grimes would just get out of the doghouse and get minutes. Now he's finally got through. Now it's Cam in the doghouse as well. So I think the log jam. Look for that to be cleared. Brian Windhorst reporting that the situation with the vets. The New York Knicks are very, very open. There's a pull up on the screen. Brian Windhorst. It was shown for Bleacher Report today as well. The New York Knicks do realize that this is holding some minutes up for everybody, and I think that it's gonna clear the runway, the log jam, and it's gonna give Cam Reddish some more minutes, Grimes some more minutes. I could see us, Alec Burks trading him just because he's a player that's going to get us an asset, no doubt. Burks is going to get at least maybe a second round, a late first round, couple of second round picks, and it's a double up. The fact that we have Cam now, RJ, and Grimes, I feel like Burks is somewhat redundant. What do you guys think about that? And like Manchild says, especially with Derrick Rose coming back as well, we're not trading Derrick Rose, I don't think. So that's another part that's going to create more of a logjam as well. So power be to Leon Rose, this front office. They've got a lot of moves to make. The phones are probably running off the hook. I think we may see some moves happen soon. They might need to make a few precursor moves before the actual trade deadline. The buzz is going to continue to grow as it gets louder and louder every single day. The New York Knicks have a game. The games are coming as well, thick and fast. Between all of this, it's crazy right now. It's crazy, and I personally enjoy this time of year, especially when the team's not where I want it to be, whether it be the landscape, the future, the record. I'm all for the shake-up because I support the Knicks, not any player. I'm not married to any player out here. I just want to see the team win and get better, and just see us on the right path, the right track. And I wouldn't mind seeing some good basketball in the meantime, right? Some good, enjoyable, pretty, fast-paced, enjoyable basketball each and every night. Players that just give 100% effort defensively. They play for one another. and they don't hold each other accountable healthily. No locker room issues, all of that as well. So tell me what you guys want to see for the second half of this season. In terms of how the basketball's played on the court, right? I could do without all this drama, the coaching, the sulking, the barking at every single missed call that the refs, the referees have had a shocker of a season right now. They've been hopeless. But at some point, you've just got to get on with it. You've just got to get on with the games and let the play let the play do the talking. At the same time, right? Everyone's dealing with the frustrations. Such as Trae Young, Atlanta Hawks, right? They are stinking up the joint, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that their best player is a 6'0" 155-pound soaking wet player that did rely on a lot of foul calls, right? Benefited from a lot of foul calls. Did Trae Young? So, at the same time, it's affected the whole league, right? We just need to get the heck on with it and stop arguing. And the sooner you stop arguing with calls, the sooner the refs may bless you with some more calls as well. That's just the way it goes, right? As a fan, I'm just sick and tired of seeing the players argue every time, right? They don't even hit their free throws as well. So what are they hoping for, in terms of this? And Drew, it's pretty ironic because on the first game against the Bulls, in an interview, Randle said he loved New York and he thinks he can build something special here until we didn't praise him. That is. What's interesting is people are always going to show you their true colors. And, Julius got what he needed, right? He got the money. It's guaranteed, right? When you pay someone their money and it's guaranteed, they got nothing to lose, right? They'll show you who they are. They'll either check out or they'll invest. They'll be 100% invested. Either way, right? Whether it's rain, hail, or shining, they'll show you who they are. And Julius Randle got paid the bag. I don't think he cares less, to be honest, what he's showing, whether he wins in New York or whether he wins in Philly or somewhere else. You know what I mean? Him and his family and generations for life are set for life. And at that point in time, maybe a few things just haven't gone gone his way, and he's sulked, he's whined about it rather than get on with it. We didn't bring his boy back. We didn't bring back Reggie Bullock, Alfred Payton, and all of that. You know what? We can't always keep this thing, like family. This is a business. At the end of the day, and Julius, it's not all on him, but he needs to man up. Like I said, it's ridiculous that the organization needs to shelter him from press conferences, right? Even if they choose to want to hold him out, say to them, no, I'm going to face the media. So what, right? I want to show everybody. I want to show the world that I'm a leader. I want to show the world that I'm here to bring New York back to where it needs to be, right? If I want to be that ego, I brought us to the 4th seed last season. Let me lead us through this tough time. You know what I mean? But instead, we're seeing another dude. We're seeing a 26, 27-year-old dude that that is frustrated with the situation, right? And maybe more will come out behind the scenes. Maybe there were some other reasons for him to be feeling the way he is, but in terms of his actions on the court, we need better culture from that. And a man child, the aim was to build a culture first and to go from there. But Tibbs thinks we win in a chip with this roster as well. Yeah, it's straight short-sighted, unfortunately. And it's only fair that they thought we were on our way after last season, 4th seed. Yes, we flamed out in the playoffs. We flamed out, but they came back this year thinking that they could replicate that. The fact that we haven't been able to, it's a grenade that's about to blow up now. 64-year-old Tom Thibodeau needs to be flexible at this point in time. Right, he needs to reverse pivot, right, to fix this thing. And Randall Sherwin says, he's New York because this is where he wants to be. His wife want to be here, and she is a designer as well. That's what we hear from the Randalls as well. It's got to be something that they're annoyed with because we're just not seeing that same level of happiness either. You know what I mean? Or happiness and leadership. on the court, especially in the huddles. And I salute to everyone up. We rocking this great show with this chat buzzing. Julian says, yeah, facts. Yeah, in my opinion, the cracks in Julius started in our first New Orleans game when RJ was going off for a career high, and plays were getting made for him. And a salute Danny, quiet money. Salute early work day today. Salute Danny on his grind. Wish everybody a beautiful Friday wherever you're at. Saturday weekend. Let's get it. There's a lot more buzz and good times to come. Let's see what happens, whether we get a gift or two during this trade period. Like Drew says, I think low-key Julius listens to the pods out there as well online. Would not be surprised. It's tough. Like, they're only human beings. They turn on their phone. They turn on YouTube. Here we are spitting knowledge, in people's DMs, comments on Insta. I mean, they're human beings. Like B says, we got the realest fans in the game. You never cross a fan that's loyal. Yeah, facts, $1 million babies throwing hissy fits. Salute Danny. What about making the move for John Wall? John Wick, maybe. I don't know about John Wall. Just playing. John Wall, get rid of that much as vets if possible. Look, the John Wall thing, I don't know if he's going to get bought out. Might be a stopgap. I think there's going to be better options, Danny. I think a better option would be Fox or Halliburton or Brunson as well, or Ben Simmons, if that's possible as well. But yeah, happy Friday, have a great day at work. These New York Knicks play the Milwaukee Bucks. Should we tune in? No, of course we're going to tune in, see what they give us. But I just don't have any expectations anymore, if I'm being honest, right? I'm at a point where I'm a bit numb, you know what I mean? I support us, I watch the game, I root for us, but I'm not tied to the result right at this point in time, you know what I mean? This season is what it is. Max Kelly, to Drew, Randle, we know he's not the guy, but we stuck with him. He has no trade value after his performance this season, at least not a value that would give us what we want, a solid point guard. And that's what's tough too, right? It's a tough pill to swallow because, like Max, Julius was a great asset at the end of last season, right? Coming off All NBA, Most Improved, or first time All-Star. And here we are, like less than a year later, right? Life comes at you pretty fast. When you're a business, you do got to manage your assets too, right? An asset one day can become a liability the next. And, the New York Knicks obviously need to work through it. I don't see Julius getting moved unless it's, like I said, a deal that makes sense for everybody. Maybe we need to put more pieces around this situation, or is what they're thinking, to improve the harmony. If Julius can get right in some way in terms of his effort, the way he conducts himself. But I can also see it go the other way. I can see it being close to blowing up right now. He's under pressure, like Billy says. If the game's on the line, he's at the free throw line. Nada. How many instances can Knicks fans remember that he blew? Never mind his postseason performance as well. A lot of pressure on. Facts, Danny. We need John Wick up in here to kick everyone's ass. And I salute Bobby. Personally, we should just try to get rid of Fournier and Kemba and maybe Burks and give Cam and Grimes more playing time. Keep Randle until the off-season. Adjust the offensive strategy and give RJ the keys. Hey, and that's a great blueprint, Bobby. Yep, that's very, very on the money with what I'm thinking right now as well. It's going to be tough for the New York Knicks to call teams offering Julius because I don't think it's going to go that way. It's going to be teams calling us, maybe seeing, touching base, flirting with us to see what's available. But at the end of the day, we might need to keep Julius till the off season, but part ways with the other vets, see what we can get, clear the runway for the young fellas to continue to grow and rock out, but keep Julius in check. Continue to coach him up this season, and keep keep him in check and to make sure it's not a negative influence, a negative influence on anybody. You know what I mean? With that said, and Billy, interesting how we view things. Either it's RJ's team or Randall's team, not on their same timeline as well. Yeah, exactly, Billy. Like I've been saying, we're just realizing after last season and this season, we're just not on the same timeline. And Julius is going to get more and more unhappy, even if we decided to keep Julius around. In 1 or 2 years, he's going to be 29 years old, 28, and he's going to be wanting to be winning right now. And RJ is going to be 23, and it's just not the right timeline. It's like that situation all over again. We're not close to competing, so we just need to readjust the timeline, I think. And Julius is on a 5-year deal. If we want to keep him for a few more years and try and grow that trade value, that's up for Leon Rose to go that route. That's up to him. But yeah, at the same time, Leon Rose needs to accept what may come with that. Dysfunction. It may go the other way. So I really don't envy these guys at the same time, right? They made mistakes, and they've got to be the ones to try to fix them with this situation, right? We just sit back and wait to see what they do. Maybe they surprise us all, like they've been doing with the trades. And Drew, yeah, I'm just sick of Tibbs talking about accountability. It seems only apply to the young guys. It reminds me of another coach. Yeah, I agree with you all too well. In terms of the past and other guys, if anything, a lot of organizations, not just the Knicks, do give their star player a lot more leeway. That's just the NBA. Sometimes it's a players' league. Vet players get away with a lot. Especially when you pay them 4 or 5 years, as well. So with that said, I can definitely, understand what the front office is doing, but it is frustrating. I agree. And 007, prediction for the Bucks game. I'll just use Mr. T and Rocky 3's pain. Unfortunately, it'll be us in pain watching the next debacle. You know what? I agree, but amongst that pain, there's a little bit of joy when you get to see Grimes ball out. Maybe by way of injury or something. Deuce or Sims or Obi get more minutes. Quickly balls out. RJ balls out. That they're the small things that I'm looking for, or the big things I'm looking for each and every game now, because they're the part of the future, right? I secretly cheer for them louder than anybody else, just because. If we're trying to win as soon as we possibly can, those guys are the closest thing, to getting us there. And if Tibbs comes out with the same starting lineup, how long until there's riots in NYC, Bobby? Pitchforks and knives out for Tibbs right now. Facts, right? Tibbs don't log on to social media, so he's going to block all that out. He's not listening to nothing except film and pizza. And Drew says, yeah, you don't see Eric Spoelstra or Steve Kerr talking about accountability as well. Yeah, that's true. They preach with their actions. And Manchild, did Randall's wife sign the dotted line with the Knicks? Yes or no? And yet Tibbs isn't even held accountable at times. He will, because Leon will go down with him. Leon will go down with him as well. Like Quiet says, I truly appreciate the chat. Would it be 4 a.m. on the East Coast in New York, and we're rocking out. One of the favorite content creators. I appreciate everybody. We're rocking out together with this. B. Willis, you can't guard the best player every night and take the last shot. That is no accountability in terms of that situation. There needs to be a true hierarchy too, and that's what you get with an organization that hasn't made a decision. And I've said this so many times over the weeks, right? You look at Detroit, I say any team's name, and you can tell me what their decision identity is. Detroit, they're building for the future. Cleveland, Houston, whatever. I say the New York Knicks, nobody can tell us what they're trying to do. We have a best player that's 28, and the other second best player is 21. You know what I mean? It's a tough situation right now. And Danny, if we were going to move Super Randle, We need to get back a position in need, like the point. What about making a blockbuster 3-team deal and getting James Harden back? Oh, yeah, that would be nice. James Harden, yeah, still on the older train, but I don't know how we could pull that off, Danny. If we can, we need a talent. We need talent of James Harden's talent, but I don't see Julius or any player on this roster having that kind of value. At this point, I think our closest path is just to make the incremental no-brainer trades. You know what I mean? Just continue to move up and stack talent, because we have great young talent on this roster. We just need to give them a runway, give them a path to continue to become even better, right? Cam Reddish can become an all-star with given the minutes. Grimes, the like, those guys can become stars if we give them the chance to become. And B. Willis, Cam's a downhill player, free Cam. His minutes are coming, right? It's coming. Don't worry about that. This situation, Leon Rose, he traded for Cam for a reason. Gave up a first-round selection, and I think his minutes are coming. And like we've been saying, it's 4 a.m. on the East Coast. Let's get ready to wind things down. We got the Milwaukee Bucks tonight as well. It's going to be interesting, must-see TV. We'll be back with the Streets Are Buzzing on the late chat show tonight as well. A lot more to chop up, as these, like I've been saying, every day there's going to be a new rumor come out. Let's see what drops in the morning. These guys are hearing all the things we're hearing. They're coming out. They're listening to everything. Players are on social media. They are absolutely listening to them. And it's going to be something that bears watching, because, like I said, we're at the crossroads right now. It just depends which road we take right now. But I enjoy chopping it up with you every single day. Let's get it. You guys are the best in the business. Let's keep the streets buzzing. Until in a matter of hours, we'll be back at it watching the Bucks game. But have a good rest wherever you are. Good day at work. Let's get it. Get on your grind, and I'll see you back soon. Peace.